to the No Practice Podcast, where we cover the only sport in the world where there is no practice. With your mini rod driving host, Adam Kester, Tyler Slaw, and Chase Richardson. Strap in for some debates on the world of pulling, exclusive special guests, and a whole lot of nonsense BS. The No Practice Podcast starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, pulling fans, welcome to episode number 55 of the No Practice Podcast, joined as always by our dearly beloved Mr. Chase Richardson and Adam Kester. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Wonderful. Happy second 2026 No Practice Podcast. Always a pleasure to see you two guys. I feel like we used to talk all the time. We only talk every other Wednesday. So it's good to catch up, at least in front of all our friends across the pulling landscape. Shout out to the Leicester team. Last show, I think we were right at close to 22,000 total views or people watched across multiple platforms. So thank you for those fans as always. And Adam, I hope your Wi-Fi is working in Southern Indiana, as it's always I think the Amish windmill may not be working quite well right now, but we will hopefully stick with you and the wind will get going. Adam, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just hope you can hear me and I'm not all glitchy and cut out. If I am, I'm just going to have to restart this thing because I'm about to throw this garbage can.
No, don't throw it in the garbage can. We can actually hear you quite well there. So
Well,
before we get rolling, I feel like I got to say shout out to two of our former No Practice Podcast guests, Mr. Peter Norton, who was on episode 40, and Mr. Stevie Fast, who was on episode 14. Peter was is a tractor puller that's gone drag racing, similar to the Sheltons, and he made it to the semifinals this past weekend at Bradenton Motorsports Park for the U.S. Street Nationals, and Mr. Stevie Fast won it. So it was cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool watching those guys duke it out. And I feel like the theme Norton was even posting on Facebook was, who the hell is Peter Norton? Because here's this guy pretty new to the drag racing world making it to the final four cars there. So that was pretty neat.
Was there like I'm not on social media regularly, but I do see it probably once a day. Was there something about someone made a comment, who the hell is Peter Norton or something? Is that what? Yeah. So what's the context behind that?
I just think that it's not very often that you see somebody that's kind of that new and that green to the sport make it that deep in a field that's pretty stacked. And so, I mean, like anything, he's got a good team behind him, but to see him be that new to it, make it to the final four cars is quite an accomplishment, I would say.
I don't know a damn thing about drag racing, nor will I pretend to. I'm just an onlooker, and I have friends that drag race. But is it not like, if you have a pro charged car, like the path to success is more likely than like a supercharged car? Is that a fair statement? I don't know. I've heard people say it all the time.
Chase, are you trying to take something away from Peter's success?
No, I'm not. I'm asking the question. I don't know.
Okay, well, I would be the last person to ask that. So
you fans that are out there that know drag racing, please comment. I think he's teamed up. I don't know. Is he teamed up with Proline? That's a big drag racing entity.
I hate to spit some bad info here. We could probably ask Peter that at some point. He's a pretty cool
I need to
guy.
stop because I'm talking about stuff that I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a couple mini rods. I would imagine he's going to be hasn't Peter had some drag racing background, Mr. Todd Morris is saying. Todd Morris.
Yeah,
I mean, some background for sure. When he was on, he was talking about some of those streetable cars that he's got that can run like in the 8s, which is wicked fast for a car on the street. So
I didn't mean it as a knock to Peter at all. I need to make sure I make that clear.
Yeah,
but
you better watch yourself,
if
Chase.
you're going to walk into drag racing and be good, it seems like a pro charger is the easiest way to do that, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, so, I don't know anything about that.
Main thing is No Practice Podcast guests succeed once again. on the drag racing scene as if that's something that we expect. But shout out to those guys. It's really cool to see people do well, and always fun to. It's fun to keep up with pulls that go on across the country that someone there. But another motorsport's even cooler. So shout out to them.
Yeah, maybe there was always that much crossover between the drag racing and tractor pulling world, and I feel like we'll get to touch on some more of that later with our guest, Mr. Craig Sage. We kind of found some things out today doing some show prep, and we look forward to sharing those things. So
yeah, this is going to be an informative day for a lot of people because SCS is a big brand in pulling, and I know they're a big brand in a lot of other non-pulling motorsports. But I was actually texting my dad. I'm like, did you know Craig and his dad did this? He's like, well, yeah, I do. But so maybe my dad's just that old and that I just wasn't aware of all that. But a lot of cool stuff. Look forward to hearing Craig later in the show. I know where I've been in Kentucky, the storyline the last few days has been a lot of snow, a lot of ice. So I know Adam, he's not far from me, but the winter weather's been here. Everyone, we want to talk about the weather, but it is January. So really hopeful that this is the big winter storm that's behind us. And a couple of weeks we'll be at the Farm Machinery Show pulling in hopefully non-snow conditions. So if I had a snowmobile, I'd be taking it out in this, Tyler.
yeah, well, speaking of snowmobiling, last show I said that Bruce was taking a snowmobile out for his first time since his accident, where a little over a year ago he got in a pretty bad wreck, and I'm happy to report that Farmer Bruce went snowmobiling again and didn't sustain any major injuries that led to him staying weeks, if not months, in a hospital or rehab. So that's a good hot update for him there. So
what level of snowmobiling did he do? Did he just go for a little cruise? Did he go hard? What can you?
I think he did 112 miles the first day and then did about 50 miles the next day. So
is that pretty, a long snowmobile? I don't know. I know that no Pro Charger drag racing. Please inform me.
It was pretty tame for Bruce's norm. Typically, he likes to do at least 300 miles a day before he even likes to stop at all and consider getting food. So, yeah, it was good for him to get back on one mentally, I'm sure. So
was he? Who did he go with since he wasn't with you? I know him and Jeff Hurt. The part that would be cool to fans, obviously the fans are what makes this show. We always like to show a different side of pullers in the pulling community, but there's a lot of pullers that snowmobile for a hobby. Like that's a fair statement, right, Tyler?
Yeah.
So it's not very uncommon to hear about a group of your pulling friends on a snowmobile outing. So who's Bruce? Like what's your all circle of pulling people, or is it your friends back home? Please enlighten me.
I would say Bruce's pulling snowmobile circle goes to Jeff Hurt and the Jeff Hurt Pal group. Jeff Hurt's got some fellas from Ohio that go snowmobiling with him. So Jeff goes pretty hard, to be honest. He's right up there with Bruce. His preference is doing about 300 some miles a day. So they can be a lot to keep up with. I've gone with them, and it's fun, but it's exhausting. It's a workout.
Explain Jeff Hurt on a snowmobile.
Jeff Hurt on a snowmobile is kind of like Jeff Hurt on a pulling tractor, where he just tries to go absolutely balls out, has no concern for breakage or concerns with slowing down at all or taking breaks. It's just 100 miles an hour, literally. And yeah, it's a good time. Jeff. There's not a whole lot of sit in them.
I think someone asked last show, and maybe this is worth checking on. Jeff's a household name in pulling. Jeff did sell one mini rod. It went in Ohio. I'll let them share that info as they want it. So he has one left now, and obviously I think you can see he's been trying to sell it.
Yeah.
I believe Jeff is a good friend. I believe he wouldn't care if I said this, but Jeff is on a path to a multi-engine modified career next.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So for you fans, Mr. Excitement's going to get a little more excitement about him potentially entering the multi-engine modified category. Jeff, don't kill me for sharing that. If it's not true, it can go in the list of things that we say on the show that wasn't true, but I think it's very minimal. People come here for the facts and come here for the information. So there's a little Dan Mayer does the dirt with Dan. We need to come up with our own thing. The No Practice Podcast, pompous asshole news.
Yeah, that's a good tagline for sure. Well, speaking of some news in the pulling world, before we get to our fan questions, I feel like in the last 2 weeks, the hottest bit of news to drop was that the super farms aren't in at Bowling Green. They're being replaced by the 4-1s, and the 4-1s have a limited number of competitors that are allowed to compete. They have to have a Grand National license and be in the top 25 in points, which people have talked for quite a while about Bowling Green potentially limiting the number of competitors in a class. And is this just the beginning, or is this a unique scenario that they're only applying to the 4-1s? Gentlemen, what are your thoughts?
Adam, are you here with us?
Yeah, I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, take it away, Adam.
Waiting to hear your spat on this.
Well, I hope this isn't just the beginning of something for the other classes, but obviously it looks like they're trying to keep the numbers down. They're afraid of by entering a new class in that maybe there might not be room for all of them. So I guess we'll see what this means for everybody else. I know the 4-1 Pro Stock is a pretty big class, so maybe this is a way of just getting their foot in the water here and seeing what they got. I mean, what do you guys think?
This is historic news. I don't obviously the first tractor pull I remember doing something like this was Chapel Hill years ago. Now you see hit and miss events like Hillsboro, Wisconsin does it, I think, for the 2-wheel drives. There are, I'm sure, others, but those are the ones that stand out to me. Bowling Green doing this for a class, I think, is a big deal. I don't know if it necessarily means it's going to happen with anything else. That would be strictly speculative news, but I guess it probably is worth saying. You know, we've talked many times about the numbers. I think we talked at length on this show about class numbers and doing something with them. So, I mean, it's all. I take the standpoint of do the best show for fans, obviously for a number of reasons, but I see all sides of this argument. I think it's going to be very interesting to see. So it's not obviously it gets touchy when you put limits on things that have never had limits on it, but I think it's very interesting, and I don't think it's going to be a negative, but who knows? There's always negative with anything you do, right?
No, that is true. Do you think it's more so to cut down on the availability for parking, or do you feel it's more so to cut down on the show length? What is the motivating factor behind this?
I mean, I have no idea what their motivating factor is. I don't think anyone would ever in their right mind say a class of more than 25 vehicles is a good show. I
would agree with that.
But yeah, that's for them to answer, not me. I do know that they do not have enough parking as is. So there's a lot of things that go into this. But, you know, Adam, the mini rod class has been a big topic of this. What's your thoughts on something like a mini rod class potentially have a restriction like this on it and what that can mean? I don't really have an opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at the mini rod class there years ago, there was only about 27 to 30 in the entire class. And now this last year was, 56? Mm-hmm. I think we see swings in this all the time. I think there were 70-something super farms at once. There's always a bunch of pro stocks, full-wheel drives, two-wheel drives. I mean, when you open the gates to anybody in the world coming to a pull, it happens to be the biggest pull in the world, you're going to get big numbers. So I've always standed on the side of, qualifiers at the event. That's kind of the way I feel about it. Everybody's there on Wednesday anyways. I mean, shit, we're there on Monday usually. But, I don't know. Like you said, Chase, you got to look at this from the fan standpoint. The fans need to be have more input in on it. I don't think anybody sitting in the stands likes watching 50 of any class. So if this is their way of making the class more viewable, maybe not agree with it, but I understand. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that, but it's hard not to think of it like Levi's commenting. He says, "Hey, so this is a very rare case, but what if it's a very tight point race? Why limit numbers when it can shake up points?" I kind of agree from that standpoint. It sucks to think about, RJ Simon before Chapel Hill last year when they were talking about him not being able to go. And the guy has been trying to run all of them. He's not quite there in the points. Like, is that really the end of his points run? So hopefully, come the time of Bowling Green, there's not people that are, say, 26th in points that are, you know, having gone to all the events trying to make a run out of it. And I feel like 25 is a pretty good number where you really shouldn't have that scenario.
I don't. Bowling Green's pretty well the last notch of the belt of a season, right? I mean, there's a
Pretty much.
more hooks after that. I don't see
Right.
a lot of shakeup outside the top 10 historically in any class in Bowling Green, unless someone can fact check me on that. But like pretty well the freaking haze in the barn at that point. Like the Meteorite class was as tight as I remember it being last year, but it was only like with 5 or 6 tractors, I think, right, Adam? I mean, outside that top 10, I don't know how much changed.
Yeah,
But
I mean, if you look at like last year at Chapel Hill, for instance, if you take the 4-wheel drive class, which we were politicking, to let all the guys show up, the guy jumps in there, buys a Grand National license, shows up at the events. Wasn't their fault they got rained out. A couple events where you only had one hook to decide, the top 15 in points. Yeah, it seemed a little unfair. Bowling Green is on the later 2/3 of the schedule. The kind of points races are kind of, I'm not saying they're decided, but they're definitely leaning in a direction. So,
are you saying I forgot about Chapel Hill? People actually watch this podcast and things actually happen after that. We have a good track record, right?
yeah, we did actually bring it up. I think I had I had a few people calling me thanking me. I'm like, hey man, I didn't do anything. We just brought it up,
It's
and
just
I
a
think that's
coincidence.
But we were
for
all very adamant.
yeah. I think what people are slowly forgetting is this podcast, and I say this a lot. We're trying to make the sport better. Whether you agree with us or not, I'm glad we don't have the same opinions, but I think we're just asking questions and hopefully getting enough input that we can all put together a good idea on how things should be done. I personally don't think it's a good idea to start limiting classes. But the pulling world, if for anybody that's not or it's not been under a rock for the past 6 months, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of things are changing. So nothing surprises me now.
I think all
You know
this
what I mean?
change,
Like,
all this change and all this good is the credit of this podcast because people
No,
keep up with
I
it now,
don't.
right? We
I
got
don't-
to take the credit though.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to take any credit for anything, Chase. But Lindsay has a pretty good comment there. Whether people like the amount per class or not, Bowling Green is an experience, and there's a reason they pack the house every year. So it seems to be working. So it is interesting seeing them choose to deviate from the plan that built that event into what it is for sure.
Let me throw something at you all because I've thought about this actually since they announced this a couple of weeks ago, this or whenever it was, this top 25 thing. So you're talking about the U.S. Street Nationals event?
Yeah.
There is minimal people that attend that spectator-wise, okay? What funds that event? What funds it is the entry fees of the drag racers that are there. Obviously, they pay out a purse similar to a model that has worked well in pulling, but why not? Because the comeback
75,000.
No, this is strictly an idea. Why not? All right, we're going to restrict this to if you're top 15 in points going to that event, you're in. I'm using this is strictly hypothetical. Bowling Green top 15, you're in. On Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday night, Thursday during the day, however you want to do it. Any class that has over 15 entries, everyone else you got to pay an entry fee. That's going to cover the expense to assume there's nobody in the stands, and then the top 10 finishers qualify to run this weekend. Why would that not work?
Yeah, that's kind of what I said. It's kind of like you take any Grand National license holders Obviously, if you want to put in the realm of shows up to every event, whether you look at it that way or not, but if you have a per hook, because let's face it, folks, right about Napoleon, Ohio, you start seeing some vehicles that show up at events that haven't been pulling the whole circuit, and they want to make sure that they're good to go for Bowling Green. I totally get that. But like you said, I think, like Chase says, if you take a per hook, a regional, or even the Grand National tractors that have a license but don't go to all the events, if you make them run Wednesday or Thursday night, Thursday afternoon,
entry fees are going to fund the overhead. How about that? There you go.
I don't even think you need to pay. I don't even think you need to pay a purse for a qualifier to get into for a chance to run for the ring. My opinion.
I'm telling watching other motorsports, just from my non-credible perspective, but when you have a badass at motorsports events middle of the week in the summer, I'm telling you right now, if there was a qualifying show at Bowling Green, Ohio on a Wednesday night, that would be way bigger than we all think it'd be. Because who can get in?
Everybody's there.
Yeah,
I would agree with that, but I don't think it solves a parking issue, because if you got a bunch of people showing up for qualifying on Wednesday and they're parked, doggone well, even if they don't qualify, they ain't going anywhere.
Well, hell, there'll be people running the shelter stuff just to get a parking spot. Just put them in a standby lot.
Right.
If you can get in the show, you get a parking spot.
One thing I
might put this. This is strictly my opinion, and I made this all up. There is no credibility to this at all, but it's worth talking about.
Yeah. One thing about Bowling Green that is awesome is everybody gets to square up, whether you're running for points or not. And it's the baddest of the bad. Like, if you win Bowling Green, you walk away from that and you knew that everybody brought their A game. Everybody wanted to win that. Everybody within reason kind of ran as hard as what they could, and you walked away from it as a winner. And I hate the thought of some people not getting that opportunity to throw that hero or zero attempt out there and try to get that ring. I think that's what makes Bowling Green awesome for me. It's everyone.
I think what makes anything awesome in pulling is that if the spectator can know a path to entry, which is what you said, like, I'm watching a basketball game here, and I love college basketball, obviously, for a lot of reasons, but that in baseball and maybe a few other sports in college are the only sports where you can have the worst season in the world. You can run all season pulling long, get last place. But if you show up at Bowling Green, you can win the ring. College basketball, you can finish dead last of your conference, but if you show up your conference tournament and win it, you play NCAA tournament. So I think something like that is awesome, having the path to knowing you can win it, to double down on what you said, I guess, Tyler.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we're coming in.
We definitely can cover that as we get closer to that event. There's going to be no doubt that there's going to be some,
But I also want to say it is hard to make change and decisions for anybody and anything. And kudos to the Bowling Green blue shirts for at least putting their necks out there to do something. I know it's not easy to do, but give me 3 X's for that one, Tyler. I'm doing you.
My marker's getting a little dry because Chase interrupts so much. So
I think the Bowling Green guys, getting to talk to a few of them, they want everybody there. They're kind of in a corner here. The rigs have gotten bigger. There's more and more vehicles, and they're just in a corner. And I'm sure it's something that they don't want to do, but they have to.
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't want to be the one to make that decision for sure. So 25 minutes in, I feel like we got to get to some fan questions here.
Yeah, we want to get fan questions too. Give me another tally on that, because we get correspondence all the time to us individually during the sporadic 2 weeks. I think they had a significant amount of text messages just today, like the last few hours, they said. So, Adam, I give you compliments all the time, but I'll really give you one. This was a great idea you had to bring this to the show, because let the fans run the show. Open mic.
Yeah.
I have not got an interruption mark in a long time. I've got 2 the first 30 minutes in. Let's go to these fan questions. It feels like I'm back in my element.
My marker's dry, so I got to break out a fresh one to keep track of Chase here. So first text in, as always, that number is 270-681-0509. It says, I like all your YouTube shows I catch. Well, thank you for tuning in, as always. It's good to have you here. On to the next one.
Thank you to YouTube.
I will be watching and listening, hoping Craig has Big Mike on with him. Big Mike is the truth doctor. That's got to be a shout out to Mr. Craig's father, I would assume, right, gentlemen?
Truth doctor.
I think so.
Let's see if we can get some context behind that name. If there's some validity to it. I've heard a lot of Mike Sage stories, but I'm sure we'll hear more here shortly.
For sure. All right, we've got, is there an event that no longer is Grand National, but was that you all would like to see return to that level? Best regards, Luke C. Adam, what do you think?
Well, that's a good one, man. Yeah, there was a few. I liked, there was a pool in Connorsville, Indiana I always liked because the track was pretty good for mini rod. As much as we hated the trip, the pool in St. Hyacinthe, Quebec was
that was actually
something else.
Yeah.
I've never seen a crowd participate like they do there. That was pretty insane. Now, my dad's truck did get stolen up there, and it took 27 hours to get there. May have some stuff stolen from our trailer and off the tractor from there, but it was definitely a unique event. So,
some of the best memories of my life.
Yeah, I'd have to go ahead, guys.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. That wasn't an interruption. That was a lagging internet connection, Tyler. I was going to say St. Hyacinthe, Quebec. It was the worst trip ever logistically. I think we've covered it. You had to go from Chapel Hill, Tennessee on a Saturday night to pool, I think, sometimes as early as Monday, most of the time Tuesday. That was absolutely insane. But, golly, I was 14 years old drinking Molson Exports up there and becoming a man by the year. That's some of the best memories of my life. I would love to go back there. I know who knows how logistically difficult that could be with the way the world is now. But one year I rode up there with the Bauer family. This is way before they ever pulled, and they had a sled. And I was in the truck with them, and they snuck me across the border in the freaking bunk of the truck. Like my dad was somewhere. He wasn't with us, and I was with Adam Bauer, and like they went across the border. I never went in, and they snuck me into Canada. Imagine doing that today. So, yeah, that was.
I don't think it's getting into Canada is the problem. It's getting back into the United States.
Yeah, maybe that's it too. But yeah,
did you already have a DUI by that point in time? Because that's a felony in Canada.
Well, I also remember too, like people were smoking like weed, like it was nothing. That was the first time I was around like
the carnies.
They were just out smoking weed like it was nothing. Like, Dad, what's that? And he's like, "Come over here, boy."
Yeah, the only two things I ever smelled there was weed and it smelled like chocolate outside constantly.
Yeah.
Chocolate.
I would love to know, is that pull still occurring? You could probably comment. I haven't heard anything of it.
The reason that brought that up, Chase, is because Luke, don't know his last name, used to promote that pool, and that's what brought that to my eye when I saw Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, fans, please comment if that poll is still occurring. I haven't heard anything of it in a while, but yeah, ton of fun. Would love a scenario where we could go back there.
We were trying to get Terry Joe stuck on to tell of a particular St. Hyacinthe, Quebec story.
Yeah,
we'll just have to get that one in sometime.
Adam, let's be careful. If we say we want to go back there, the mini rods will be on the schedule on Monday.
Yeah, I know it. Hey, no kidding. 29 hooks. Why not? Let's go.
Let's go for
Careful
40.
what you wish for.
Yeah, Tyler, what's your comment on this?
My favorite Grand National poll that no longer exists was Hudsonville, Michigan, just because it was absurd to me that we drive all over the place. And then the fact that at our local fair here, there used to be a 2-day Grand National mini rod hook, like 2 miles, not even 2 miles from where I went to high school. which was wild. So it was almost a weird collision of worlds that, you know, all the friends that we have local in the area, friends and family, would come to this event, and I'm standing there talking to Adam Bauer at 10 o'clock at night, and a person that I went to high school with several years ago walks up and interrupts our conversation, and just your brain trying to like comprehend how you're supposed to categorize this because you're not used to seeing these two people in the same situation. It almost felt like similar to when you go to a wedding almost, and you're like, well, wait a minute, here's this guy that I'm always hanging out with a bar drunk, and now like somebody's grandmother is here. It almost felt socially strange to navigate, similar to that, but it was a ton of fun for sure. So, all right, next question. Here's my question. On the next podcast, what classes overseas are similar in horsepower? Light supers, minis, pro stocks. Could we beat them, or we more dominant in horsepower? For instance, pro stocks. They sure come up with fancy sheet metal. I really don't know the answer to that. I feel like they're fairly comparable in rules and weight class. And I feel like overseas, they have come a long ways in the last 10, 15 years, even the last 5 years, as far as I feel like it used to be maybe they were learning from us, and now what they bring to the table has come over here. I mean, think about how many European-made mini rod chassis have had, you know, an abundant success over here in the States. So I feel like it would be a pretty even match. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you know, this brings up a good topic. You know, with the Olympics coming up, I just wish that we had a Olympic style deal. United States, Netherlands, UK, you know, all the, because there is pulling around the world. So, but yeah, I think as far as that go, I think they have all the same components we do. I think the mini rod and actually bigger superchargers on the mini rods overseas. I know the modified classes are a little bit different with the weighting. I know the mini rod weighs a little bit more than it does in the United States. As far as the modified classes go, they have a different kind of rules for their modifieds, but we're pretty equal. I'm going to say, you know, there's not too much difference between the two anymore, I don't believe.
Yeah, they're real men over there. They run mini rods with 1871s and no cubic inch limitations. Woof.
Yeah, I don't have enough of a knowledge base to comment too much. I comment on a lot of stuff I don't have knowledge base on, but these guys could actually call my bluff. So I can't really I just know one thing that stands out in my brain, and someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they've always had the model of an unlimited class and like what we're calling a light mod / outlaw mod class now. They never had the 4 with 871s model for years. And I think it's interesting that arguably the fastest growing class in pulling over here is the light mod class category. And that's probably something that a lot of people are taking away from over there, because it is a show. Obviously we compete in it and have had some decent success in it, but I think fans are really gravitating that class. And it's interesting. You saw Britt and Johnny Payne bought a light mod from the Bobcat team, and I believe Cody Singletary is doing the same. So kudos to Europe probably in showing us a way for a new class that's kind of come on the scenes the last couple of years.
For sure. It's pretty neat. We're pretty fortunate that we get to compete against some of the guys from over there. And every year it seems like a couple people from over here head on over to Mate, their bowling green, for lack of better terms. So it's pretty awesome to see that tight of a geographical gap closed off, and we compete over there and they compete over here. It's pretty awesome. Next question.
Speaking of former No Practice podcast guests,
yeah,
and while you were gone, we were complimenting Peter Norton and Stevie Jackson on their drag race weekend. But do you know who's going this year to Mate? Former No Practice podcast guests?
No.
Who is the most famous of all time that almost showed nudity on this show?
Russell Hildebrand.
Russell?
Really?
Russell Hildebrand's going to Mate. So I think it's we have yet to have, I think, a repeat
Look out.
guest RJ Simon. I think it may be in the cards to bring Russell back on the show. A little trivia for you fans. Shout out to Russell. Congrats on going to represent the USA.
I had to give up on the hard liquor after we had Russell on. Hey, guys, the Tim Engler Full Access is just awesome. Love to watch it. One question, will tires be an issue this year in the minis and two-wheel drives and even the mods, or any class for that matter? But will it be an issue as far as what is our guys going to run? Thanks. Love the show. I'm guessing he's meaning the drama behind tire manufacturers. Is there enough availability? Are people upset that there's new tires on the scene? I feel like a year ago this was a pretty hot topic. I feel like in the mini rod class, people have gotten the new tires figured out enough to where the old ones aren't a huge advantage. I can't speak for the two-wheel drives at all. Maybe you guys don't agree with that statement. What do you think?
Go ahead, Chase.
Yeah, I think we've said this many times, and we need to revisit it. I think we could have a whole show dedicated on tires and manufacturers. One of the few motorsports, I always come back to what Bill Vorey said on this show when he was here, is pulling is one of the few motorsports where it's like wide open market for tires, and I think everyone does a good job. I think it's very cutthroat the way it looks to me. Like,
no pun intended.
Yeah, very, very cutthroat. So, yeah, I think every competitor is always trying something new in the tire department as they are their engine department. So there's going to be advantages, but it's not tires that win, it's combinations that win, in my opinion.
I feel like the issue's settled out, though, don't you, Adam? Like, is it as hot of a topic as it used to be?
You know, maybe in the mini rod class, maybe not a big deal. I mean, I hear things like there's going to be another mini rod tire produced. I know Nichols worked on one for a while and then had to redo it, and they're trying to do another one. I think it mostly stands out basically in like the 24.5s and 30.5s. To be honest with you, I feel sorry for those guys. You know, I got a few customers that bought some Prolers. It seemed like the hot ticket there for a minute, and then something else comes along, and then you got to get rid of that and buy the other thing. You know, the Parks is doing good. The Mitas. I mean, I think for the I hope it doesn't happen in the mini rod class solely for the take a guy like myself or even you guys. Like, the amount of tires that one mini rod puller owns, like, you start mixing in different brands, it just is going to be a whirlwind of you just going to have to pick a tire and keep it. And if something becomes dominant, I guess you got to jump in with them. But I'm staying where I'm at. Chad's really made his tire a lot better. We really struggled from 2019 to 21. And he kept working on it. You go give the guys time. He was trying to improve the product. In some instances here, and some things was a little bit worse, but he's had a few years, and the tires are, like Tyler said, the old tires were an advantage. Maybe they could still be to a slight advantage, but I think for the guys that have kept running the new tires, I think it is definitely like, definitely even the field. Now the two-wheel drive class, that's always another thing. They have a few different rules now that NTPA and stuff are doing, so it's going to be interesting to see what guys have to do, jumping brands back and forth and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I guess we'll just see what the year brings.
There you go.
And two-wheel drive, too. I think I've said this in a show before, but, man, every time there's a better tire in that class, it seems like more people tear more shit up. And I just don't know from a budgetary standpoint if innovation's always the best thing in that class. Just my opinion.
I mean, at 6,200 pounds, they probably should be able to make a driveline that should live, right?
Yeah, it's not driveline. It's just freaking those vehicles really unload. Like a race pack, it's one of these days we'll show a race pack. Adam, I'm sorry that you're too good and way better than me to not use a race pack. I mean that as a compliment, but for someone that kind of I couldn't pull without one. The power curve on our modifieds, all of our modifieds are kind of like upward and kind of level. Mini rod, pretty well the same. Two-wheel drive is like this all the way going down the track. It's really crazy how it's always like that because essentially it's like unloading itself all the way down the track. So imagine.
Adam, do you think that would help, Adam, if Chase wasn't running like a 4150 crank spinning 9,500 RPMs?
Yeah, I don't know. Hell, dude, it's taken me a long time. I've been asked by 20 different people that are wanting to buy engines from me. What crankshaft should I put in my engine? And I tell them all the same thing. We'll make whatever setup that you want to run. We'll kind of match what your gear ratio you want with a crankshaft. If you want, slower gear, more RPMs, we'll put a shorter stroke in it. If you want faster gear, we'll put a little bit bigger stroke in it, and we'll try to figure out what setup you need. But I mean, I don't know, guys. Honestly, race pack and me, I need the weight more than I need the information. So I'm just gonna stick doing what I'm doing.
You got all that weight above your shoulders.
There you go.
Yeah, I got. Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's called.
You didn't get that joke.
And
you didn't get that joke.
Yes. Yeah,
Adam,
I get it.
So
yeah.
For all you fans, I got to throw my first jab at Adam. I haven't done one lately. This is the last show ever that we will all be in our 30s. Adam has a big day next week. We'll get more to that later. So, Adam, yep. I understand.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Next question here. This question is for Chase. What pulls are you running for OSTPA this year?
Is that Ohio State? I assume.
Yeah, Ohio State.
Schedule.
What's that?
I haven't seen their schedule yet, so I think I went to one last year. It's a great organization. Ohio is probably arguably the biggest state in the U.S. for pulling. Their state pulls are like grand national level pulls in terms of fans. Typically they're with county fairs, but I don't have that answer. Would love to work it out again this year. I think I've been to a couple the last 2 years. I'm sure I'll go to a couple again this year.
All right, fair enough. Moving on. What else we got here? What are the chances of you three having a competition at the Southern Swing? This is probably a reference to Chase getting his leg waxed again, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that's still a very lot of PTSD from the recent bets made. Let's go for the recap in 25. So I lost my leg hair. Did we ever get another one done last year? I can't remember. I don't think we did we?
I don't know. Was the did I have to put my hand in a mousetrap? Was that from this past year or no?
That was the year before that, I believe.
Oh, really?
Right, Adam. I think the last one is I'm still salty about my wax leg. So
and the leg waxing was the Pullers Championship, right?
The hot chip doesn't bother you?
But no, that was the most recent one. The leg waxing, I don't want to revisit that conversation because I think it's gotten me in trouble, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word for it.
Well, yeah, you instead of taking ownership over your bad pass, you kind of just passed blame onto another individual. So.
Yeah, no. I totally blame somebody else for how bad I suck.
Yeah, that's pretty typical when things go wrong, right, Chase?
That's who I am, right?
Somebody else's fault. Yeah.
Southern Swing, I don't know if that's in the cards. I talked to Bruce about the Southern Swing, and he shared some things to me that their team's working on, and I don't think they'll be prepared to be there. But I don't want to speak for him or Tyler. But we can find another date, I think, that we can bring the competition / bet out. I don't know when that can be. Maybe at the Busch Light Nationals.
There we go.
I'm still working hard to get on your to make it to some events you all are. There's a lot of fan votes. The Pullers Championship.
Yeah, Pullers Championship.
That's a good shout out, right? The fan votes are out. Who I think all of us are up for grabs. Adam, you have one spot locked in, right?
Yeah, one's locked in.
So maybe
and there. I guess there's the top 20 are left here. I think they're only taking 7. So
okay, I feel like we
tough
have
field.
to tell our fans, if all three of us get into the Pullers Championship, we owe them a bet challenge. That will motivate our fans to vote for us for the Pullers Championship. How about that? So
there you go. There's your bet.
I guess to answer the question, what are the chances of us three having a competition at the Southern Swing? Minimal chance. We will have our stuff ready. So Bruce and I are actively working on putting some motors together and whatnot, trying to get parts together, even I think we just finally got an oil pan ordered because I grenaded one pretty firmly. And just all the small little items that you find are just kind of destroyed when you take apart a motor, when you pulled it out halfway through the year and you think to yourself, oh, this just needs a sleeve and a couple rods, and you pull it out of the tractor and you stuff it in the corner and then you tear it apart and you're like, well, we got to send the lifters off to get rebuilt. We got to this, we got to that. It's always worse than what you think, and it seems to take so much longer because we're not professionals like Adam. But
and also backstage there,
I haven't even worked on mine yet. The only thing I did was take the rear ends out to get them looked at because apparently you got to get them looked at. So it's about the
those aren't Adam's vehicles, Tyler. Adam, those aren't Adam's vehicles. Those are his backdrop for his podcast. He doesn't work.
Yeah,
on
I know. All right, we're 47 minutes. We're 47 minutes in here.
Hey, backstage, can we throw a link or something up where fans can vote for the Pullers Championship? Very interesting concept of how you get in there. Fans vote. Just please throw it out before the show ends. There you go.
Perfect. All right, next question here. We've got, I keep seeing posts on the social media about the Busch Light Nationals. When/where is it? Well, Chase, take it away. Chase, Adam, dates, location.
It's in Evansville, Indiana, about 6 miles from where Adam's sitting right now. I think there's 150 or so campsites left. There's been almost 200 campsites sold. So get your campsites. Going to be a fun weekend. Busch Light Nationals, a lot of beer drink. The weekend after Memorial Day, May 28th.
Weekend after Memorial Day.
Yep.
There you go. All right. Next question. Chase, have you heard back from anyone regarding your invite to the high stakes series? Yeah. For those of you not in the know, this is Chase pleading for an invite to the IHRA International Hot Rod Association PPL high stakes series that I will be a part of. It's up in the air whether or not Adam's going to be a part of it. And Chase,
I'm still trying to get the answer. Can you all tell me how you get in this?
I'm pretty sure.
Chase, we don't have time for that.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. I didn't.
Yep.
Yeah, I have been accepted with all three vehicles into the high stakes series.
Ooh, it's official.
Did they answer the phone when you called?
The only know that somebody backed out, or some people backed out, and yeah. So
look at that.
Well, hang on a second.
We will see what it does.
Who did you get a hold of? Because after our last show, I
didn't get a hold of anybody.
Out. They called you?
See, Chase, they get a hold of you. All right.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So to answer your question, Chase has not heard back from anyone regarding his invite, so he better behave.
I've reached out 4 times. I actually have my dad reached out one time for me because he was asking me about it. I guess they must be very busy or I'm getting ghosted. I don't know which one.
Well, they're only selecting
I'll lease a tractor to you. I'm going to lease a tractor to you.
Is that allowed? What's the criteria?
$50,000.
What's the criteria? Is that even allowed?
All right. Well, guys, we're 50 minutes in.
I'll take your money.
I have a ton of experience being ghosted. I hope that's not the case. I'm sure they're just really busy, but when I've been ghosted before, I've typically sent flowers to get my way back in. Should I send them flowers?
I think you should send flowers. That might help.
Send flowers. So any fans have any suggestions on how to overcome a ghosting scenario? Flowers is my typical choice.
Somebody says take the hint.
What's the hint?
I think the hint is usually when you've been ghosted, perhaps you've earned it. I don't know.
Like, how do you recover from a ghost, though?
I guess conduct yourself in a manner to not get ghosted. I don't know.
So did I do something?
Well, I don't know. You're the common denominator from what you're telling me.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a steak dinner. It's either ghosting or a steak dinner. Which one should I do?
I don't know.
You gotta get a hold of somebody to be able to take them a steak dinner. So I don't know. And I sincerely want to apologize if I did something to someone to get ghosted. So I'm sorry.
Okay.
I would love to talk it out with you.
All right, next question. The answer is no. Chase didn't get an invite. Adam locked in all three. So we're going to be having a great time. We'll send Chase Snapchats. Moving on. Hey, guys, can you get the Farm Show Tractor Pull Committee on the podcast? We'd like more transparency in the selection process. Other major sports committees explain and stand behind their decisions, similar to NCAA football and basketball. It would be great to see the Farm Show do the same. Chase, I feel like you got to take this one away.
I feel like Chase texted this in to their hotline.
Yeah, Chase, was this you?
Yeah, I mean, someone told me last night I do AI or something too. This is what I have time to do. I don't have the answer to this.
Okay.
I believe that we have a backstage director who solicits our guests, and I believe that they've been invited on this podcast. I'm sure they have they have very tough jobs. I mean, nobody's debating that, but
Is it fair to say that they have an open invite?
They have an open invite. In fact, backstage, I think we have formally been denied 2 times. Mark Mangan will always be the Practice Podcast interview denial founder, but I think the Farm Show Selection Committee is in that club too. There's 1 or 2 others I can't remember, but open invite. We love that poll. It's a huge deal. It's 2 weeks from now. It's not easy to make any decisions. I don't really know how to answer this question on camera.
Well, I would say, can we get them on? Not yet, but we've tried and we'd love to have them on. Is that a fair answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the high stakes people can get them on. I'll call them.
Yeah, you work on that. All right, next question. All right, here we go. For the sport to grow, I think more video content creators need to be brought into major level pulling events. For example, 1320 Video did an awesome video at Bowling Green last year with lots of interviews with pullers. I think we need more of that. Went to the Chili Bowl last year, and there were cameras everywhere interviewing drivers. The drivers share those interviews or hype videos on social media, and I think fans have more of fan feeling towards the driver than the sport. Pulling does great with sharing pulling pictures on socials, but need more videos that pulling teams can share on their team's social pages. I would say in the last couple of years, and maybe it's just the algorithm on my news feed, but I feel like the amount of exposure of videos of tractor pulling, whether it be reels and snippets or replays of events and stuff, I feel like it's trending upward in my opinion.
I'd agree with that. I mean,
yeah.
It's I think for the group, I'm not taking anything away from, the Chili Bowl or any of that stuff. It's neat. You get to see some of the NASCAR drivers and from different areas go down and they get to interview these guys in a different setting. I think from the pulling standpoint, I think Full Pull's done a good job of interviewing, and, nobody's saying that you can't show up to an event and, do some interviews and stuff. So I think the basic deal is you just can't be, videoing the actual pulls. So, hey, I'm all up for it. People want to show up. I'm down to always do an interview with people stop by the trailer all the time. I'm sure nobody wants to hear me talk though. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a little backside into a few more drivers.
Yeah. I mean, I think, firstly, that the biggest misconception in the world, and I can speak of this because I'm involved with the business, is that you cannot show up to video pulling. That is 100% inaccurate. people that are involved know that's inaccurate. You just have rules to follow. So instead of following rules and being collaborative and professional, I guess it's easier just to do what you choose to do.
It's no different than NFL. You can't go up there and record the entire football game and put it on.
Well,
look, correct.
Again, we live in a climate and world. This is not a pulling problem. It's not even a problem. This is just society as a whole. People go on social media and they talk about it, and instead of just handling it the right way. I don't really like politics are the craziest thing ever. We don't talk about politics, but there's so much misinformation out there that's like it's almost not even worth entertaining. And a lot of other avenues and worlds, like college basketball. I love college basketball. Same way, there's so much bullshit that gets thrown against the wall. Unfortunately, I feel that there's some of that in pulling, but I think that's just the society we live in, and there is anyone can show up to a pull and cover it from a content standpoint, at least for outlaw and NTPA pulls, WTPA pulls from full pull standpoint. You just have to follow rules. And if you have a question, I've made myself available and our team available to anybody that has a question about that.
Okay, fair enough. I genuinely feel like it's trending upward, though, whether it's, videos with people after the event, before the event. What are you thinking? How's it going? What'd you do different? I feel like that's on the upward tick.
Yeah, I still give all the credit to this podcast. But yeah, it sounds like the timing's right for us.
Yeah, we can't take any credit. All right, is that our last question, or is there anything else?
Jesus Christ, you're going to get me yelled at tomorrow. All I'm trying to do is just not be ghosted.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen,
do y'all care to reach out to them on my behalf and at least get a three-way call going? We're friends. You won't do that? I would do that. If you all asked me to call somebody for you to get on the phone, I would do it for either one of you. Would you do that for me?
I'll consider it.
Yeah. Consider it. All right. Maybe that's content for the next show.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be content.
Or information. Sorry.
Okay.
Enough of that.
I know there's 6 events that you could. I know there's 6 events that you could. At least 6.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the truck show poll. Is that an open entry event? I don't know. Trying to get an answer on that. It's like trying to.
Well, the truck show is back.
We don't know too much about that. Just for the. We can't talk about it before the farm show because they have a standing deal with that. So
no, we can talk about
after
it.
We can talk about it though.
Well, yeah, we can talk about it. I'm just saying, like, there hasn't been much about it, but it is back.
But mini rods are not there.
Sad that the mini rods are not there. Nope.
So along with my collaboration on High Stakes Series, I've been thoroughly asking how you get into this show because my fellow light modified friends have told me they've been solicited and invited, and apparently they're collaborating with the farm show committee. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just going to send some roses and try not to get ghosted. I think that's the next move.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
All right, so we've
an hour, and I feel bad we did because we have an amazing guest that's coming on. I honestly can't wait to hear some of the stories this guy's got.
So for
anybody that's been around bulling or monster trucks for
Adam, you were delayed bad. You have bad lag. Sorry.
Oh. Okay. My bad. Go ahead.
Tell me you're sorry again. The next guest, SCS Craig Sage, second generation business, recent puller and modified divisions, also, successful entrepreneur in the motorsports world, good friends, good people. Craig Sage, SCS Gearbox, our official episode 55 guest. We are inviting you on now backstage. Clap, clap. They coming?
Yeah. Well, Craig was typing.
There he is. Oh, Craig, welcome. You've transformed to a Yoda.
Oh, wrong camera.
Oh, Craig, put it back. I want to see that Yoda again.
You want to see Yoda?
Yeah, right. Show us Yoda, Craig.
This is the best version of Craig Sage I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't
Slightly
understand
less
what
hair
it's
than
doing.
Craig.
What we saw there for a quick minute was some Star Wars memorabilia, perhaps, and a Yoda poster. And I
Craig,
mean,
what do you have to tell us about the
I was really trying to take things in quickly, but it almost looked like a seat with perhaps some fabric with a bit of waterfowl on the design of the seat fabric. Did you guys spot that as well? Was that a duck?
Okay, I saw Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
I think Craig's into some shit we didn't even know.
Craig,
Hey, we got Yoda back.
yeah,
Yoda,
is that a
Yoda.
duck? Look at that duck seat. That's good. And we got Yoda. So a lot of people don't know this, but Baby
That's
Yoda
wallpaper,
actually
Tyler.
runs SCS.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
I guess I have to switch cameras because the front one's not cooperating.
Hey, that's perfect.
Human life, Yoda, right there. Craig Sage. Welcome to the No Practice Podcast, Craig.
Is it working?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
I
we
can
can
see
hear
you,
you now.
Craig.
All right, I can't tell.
Can you hear us, Craig?
Technology. Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine.
Okay, perfect. Craig, tell us about your involvement in Star Wars memorabilia.
Well, I think those are Father's Day cards that my kids got me.
Okay.
Okay.
I understand. I understand.
So,
Well, Craig, it's an honor to have you here. Obviously, we didn't have you on to talk about Star Wars necessarily, but just the lineage of drivetrain components that SCS brings to the table, not only in the tractor pulling world, but we see a monster truck behind you, the boat racing world, the dirt racing world, whether it's rock bouncers, there really is no cap to it. It seems like. Tell us what it is you do, how this all got started. Give us your story.
Well, the story isn't mine to be told. It's my father's. I mean, I am the second generation here at SCS Gearbox. Megan's here with me, the third generation SCS Gearbox. Dad started the business, honestly, to build parts for his race cars. He was a drag racer, wanted to build drag parts. And so him, a family friend, and my uncle started this company together. That car you see there is the car that most everybody knows with his limp. He's always had the limp there. His right leg has been stiff since that funny car. Has a picture actually at National Trail Raceway in Columbus, Ohio, that he ran off the end of it on the first pass. The throttle hung open and tried to kill him. There.
Yikes.
There's what's left of the funny car after he went in the cornfield at the end of the track.
One pass.
One pass, yep.
Oh shit.
He went through the traps at 160 mile an hour. They figured he was over 200 when he hit the end of the strip.
Oh shit.
Wow. So hitting a cornfield at 200 miles an hour, basically.
Chain link guardrail at the end of the track is what actually did him in, because that took the motor, and that's what wiped his leg off, is when it bent the chassis in half.
Wow.
So yeah, he was still sitting strapped in the roll cage there when they found him in the cornfield.
Jeez. And that was Mike's last pass in a dragster? Or?
No, that was his last pass in a funny car because he couldn't bend his leg anymore. There's a couple pictures of his dragsters then that we ran in the early 90s, the twin engine dragster, and then we ran it as a single engine dragster.
Okay, so we gotta back up a bit. A twin engine dragster, was that pretty innovative at the time? I've never even seen anything like that.
So alcohol dragster at that time was based on weight to cubic inches. So at that time you could run a wedge motor, you could run a Hemi, you could run a small block Chevy, you could run twin engine that we had. So it's all based on weight to cubic inch, and they would then adjust based on the competition or how we were faring against each other. So yeah, that car was one in 90 and 91 that we ran that car competitively. It would mile an hour like a freight train. We just struggled to get it off the starting line because it was a pig. It weighed 2,450, 2,500 pounds. So we struggled to get out the starting line, but it would go 200, almost 235 mile an hour, which was second fastest in the country for mile an hour at that time. So there were two 632-inch, originally built by Scott Shafroff motors with 2 stages of nitrous, a full fogger system, and then a full second plate system. So you can see on the car there, they both had their own nitrous bottles, and then they were hooked crank to crank, just like we do, just like they're done in tractor pulling.
So your father started out building components for his own drag cars. Was it pretty quick that it caught on and he began making components for other people as well once they saw the quality of his work, or what did that transition look like?
Well, so the transition from him being a drag car guy to being a part guy was done by the Napa Auto Parts counter guy that was in Attica, Ohio. So Dan Oots walks into Napa in Attica and talks to, at that time was Denny Ringel, who ended up being our assembly guy on our assembly bench for almost 35 years here at SCS. But Dan asked Denny, where you buy Hemis? Well, Denny happened to be our neighbor, so you can't buy them at Napa, but you can go down here and talk to Mike Sage. He's got Hemis in his garage. So they went down and talked to Dad, and that's then when Dad helped Dan Oots build the Thumper tractor, along with So that tractor there was then built with Dan and Dad's help. Ken Venny built the motors. I know Dad and Dan flew to California to get Keith Black blocks directly from Keith. It was so that I know between Dad and Venny helped with the motors on that deal, and then Dad started building the drive line for this thing at that time. So there was a drag race rear end that was not taking off very well, that was built by Dana and Eaton for a quick change rear end for drag racing, similar to like the roundy round guys have for sprint cars and stuff like that. But they were marketing it to the drag market. Well, the drag market wasn't going for it. They weren't keen on the idea. Well, Dad used those gears for that rear end to build the first 20 series transmission that was used for Dan's tractor, and then kind of snowballed from there to be used by generally all the tractors at that time that was being built. Dad kind of took the place of what was the Miller Brother transmission that they were using. They were taking a dump truck transmission, Fuller, or I think mostly Fullers, and they were taking the gears out of like 3 different ones and trying to put splits in there that you could actually pull with, versus what Dad could do with the tight ratios that were built for that rear end. Which those gears that you see that were used for that transmission are still the gears that are still used in our twin countershaft designs now. That we've used that back reverse engineering of what those gears were designed to build the gears that we build today from those gears that were originally bought there in the early 80s.
Jeez, that's pretty wild.
So we speak in a lot of generalities in this show because we take it all for granted because we are competitors, but we do try to speak to our fans, Craig. I know you're a diehard No Practice Podcast fan, but generally the drivetrain for a pulling vehicle, I don't think people realize how significant it is. I've told people, and I'm not bragging on you because you're on the show. I would never brag to your face, but you're in front of my computer, so I guess we'll call it what it is. But if you want, people talk about sustainability for the sport of pulling, and as what I would consider a younger generation, or all 3 of us on this podcast are younger generation, if you do not want to see pulling go extinct, you have to keep drivetrain manufacturers going. Rednecks from Kentucky, like my dad and our crew, can build chassis and round up enough shit to build chassis. We can round up enough shit to build an engine, but we can't come up with a good way to build the drivetrain components it takes to keep these vehicles going. So all that being said, what SCS and what some other manufacturers do, I think is very truly the lifeline of this sport. What can you explain to a fan, not us, SCS does to deliver pulling and keep pulling sustainable from a drivetrain standpoint?
Well, it's constant innovation as far as that goes. I mean, the tractor pulling is so much unique in the fact that we go from no load, even though the boat's behind us, but we're virtually no load leaving the starting line, to we're trying to rip the guts out of the vehicle at the end of the track. and the drivetrain gets the joy of dealing with that. I mean, that's the same thing with the advent of the tire war situation that we have now. The drivetrain, the planetary struggles that we've seen over the last few years because of the Mitas tire. I mean, the Mitas tire is great, but it has caused it's definitely caused some grief in the driveline.
But it's Adam. You might know this because you know random shit with pullers. Is there there's been a puller that has built every piece of a pulling equipment at some point? Like I said, I'm just going to do this myself. Is there ever a puller that says I'm going to build my own drivetrain and transmissions that's performed at a high level? Craig, do you know? Adam, do you know? I can't think of one. I can think of guys who say I'm going to build my own engine. I'm going to go CNC. I don't know if anybody just said the hell.
Yeah, there's one. He made a business out of it. It's called Larry Profab.
Yeah.
Well, besides him.
Yeah.
Besides him and you, I don't know of one. I mean, that's an honest question because you get bullheaded people. You have very successful people that just going to do this shit themselves. I don't know if
you got the mad scientist too. We got Bill Humphreys.
Yeah.
The mad scientist. I mean, he built most of his stuff for his two-wheelers.
But these are guys that turn their drive into business. I don't know if a guy just said, the hell with this and do it myself, but maybe you all do.
Yeah, you're certainly a rare breed, like you say. You got Todd Boltman and Craig Sage, building these crazy gearboxes. I remember as a kid watching my dad mount 5 engines on his pulling tractor and him working back and forth with Craig, on this gearbox that they're going to come up with, and started out with the 3rd and 4th motor up high, and no, that was too high up. So then he got a different box and dropped the 3rd and 4th motor down lower, and Bruce talking with Craig constantly. So Craig, we got sidetracked there. You were telling us we had the twin engine car. You went to Napa. He bought a Hemi. I want to hear more how we built this to what it is today. Keep going on that story.
Well, yeah, as far as from the Dan Oots tractor, I mean, it was McPherson. You had, I mean, the hitters of the day at that time. Hutchinson. I'm trying to think of all the guys at that time. Well, so then from that transmission, it went to 4-wheel drives. It went throughout the sport. Then, as far as the different vehicles go, Wheeler Ringer. Dad was heavily involved with the Twin Donovan tractor and the double rear end. That was somewhat my dad's brainchild with Wheeler.
Explain this double rear end, Craig.
So Wheeler drove it off a joystick. It was. I don't know enough of it. Actually, the rear end still sits in Circleville, Ohio. I was like 4. So I don't understand 100% how it worked, but I know he drove it off a joystick, and I don't know if it used the joystick to apply brakes to either side to get the tractor to run straight. As he drove it down, because the joystick was in between his legs.
We see this picture here dated, I believe it's 1986. Outcast 2 was built with Wheeler Ringer, utilizing 2 rear ends with 1 motor driving each rear end, a joystick control for steering and power. This design was employed to help the tractor go straighter. So there was 2 engines, and I would imagine 2 drive shafts driving 2 separate ring and pinions.
Correct.
Going to 2 separate hubs to move the tractor. So if you threw the rods out of one engine, it would take a pretty sharp turn. Is that fair?
That's my understanding.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell from that side shot, but they're staggered. They're not in line. They're offset from each other, with the drive shaft running along the other side of the back engine. Basically two drive shafts running parallel to each other to the rear end.
Correct. It had 2 transmissions, 2 clutches, the whole 9 yards.
So I see that top photo there, Craig. It says SCS Gearbox built the first bevel gearbox used by Tim Engler. Is that basically the Engler gearbox that we still see made and modeled after today?
Yeah, absolutely. Tim has obviously refined it for the technology that has come along as far as the power goes. Tim kind of took that gearbox and ran with it as far as that goes. But yeah, Dad was the first one, and I believe they built the first one out of steel, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that was the first bevel gearboxes were done here.
Very cool. So your father obviously moved into that. How did he even begin to have the knowledge and resources? Like, what did he start out doing for a living and transition into building his own components like that?
It's just a gearhead. My uncles ran Top Gas back in the day when they had when the Nitro ban was on. Did two, I think it was a Chrysler and an Oldsmobile hook crank to crank, and then they ran a single engine dragster, and so they ran a lot of that. So Dad hung out with those guys quite a bit. In high school, my uncles taught him how to slick shift an old rock crusher transmission, like your Chevelle 4-speeds and stuff like that. So Dad, as a non-licensed driver yet, would take the older kids' cars and they take them out to the family farm, and Dad would grind out every other tooth in them so they could go out and street race them. So it's one of those things. Then once he did start building, he started with he built an Anglia super stock, I guess you'd call it at this point. It was a class car in the, so that would have been late mid-60s when he first got his license. He built that car, raced my uncle at Norwalk Drag Strip, beat my uncle, pulled the steering shaft out of the steering box, crashed it. But it had a Chrysler motor in it. Then he went off to Vietnam. He was a Green Beret in Vietnam. Got a lot of his math skills from what they taught him there. He worked for the CIA there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He was where the government said he wasn't most of the time. But then he came back. Then from there, built a front engine dragster. Also at that time, he worked for what was called Midwest Tool and Die, which is what most everybody knows when they go to the Lowe's or Home Depot. Is called MTD, which is your mower people. Originally, it was called Midwest Tool and Die.
Okay.
So he was tool and die apprentice there. Built his own aluminum heads for that race car, aluminum Hemi heads for that car in the early 70s. Then he ran that as a class car he ran junior fuel, A fuel, and junior fuel with that car. Then it was UERA was getting to be a big thing. So he then built the alcohol funny car. Then they got paid to go to shows. So he ran like with Frank Hawley, Fred Mandolini, most of your alcohol hitters of the day back then. He ran Ken Venny. He ran with most of those guys in the UDRA circuit for several years. Then when it came, then he built the last funny car there, and that's what tried to kill him. So being a gearhead, it was one of those things that he wanted to build parts. So then when he started SCS, one of his guys that he knew from was Lou Novotny, which I don't know if Lou had an alcohol funny car or alcohol dragster, excuse me. And Lou was the purchasing agent for Mr. Gasket. So at that time, Mr. Gasket made quite a bit of your blower drive stuff, different stuff like that. So Dad got the machining parts from Mr. Gasket through Lou Novotny. And from there, things kind of, they had some design issues with the casting Dad was machining. Dad redesigned and made him out of billet and actually kind of took the business away from Kreger on blower drives. Also, during that time, he wanted to get back in a funny car again. So the one picture they had popped up there was if anybody's been down to the Garlitz Museum, you've seen the motor in the dragster sideways from the tractor pulling experience of putting stuff in sideways. He then designed this funny car. They actually built it as a dragster, and then the front end actually unbolted, and they could make it into a funny car then. So to be able to go back funny car racing again, they built that funny car there you see there. So the motor's actually sitting behind at that time. The guy in the blue actually standing up is my father. The guy driving was my uncle, Chuck Sage. So when Garlitz saw that they were running that car. I don't remember if it was up at Detroit Dragway or at Norwalk, where Garlitz saw the car, saw what the traction pattern was from the motor being put in sideways. And Garlitz then commissioned them to build that dragster, the sideways motor dragster for his fuel car. which that picture there is actually of Don in the car. That's my Uncle Bill. My Uncle Chuck's there squatted down, and then Dad standing up there fitting garlets to the car here in our shop here in Bellevue, Ohio.
It's pretty remarkable history that I didn't know this until a few hours ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for those that just missed that, so Craig's father built a drag car for Don Garlits with the motor sitting in it sideways.
Correct.
That's wild.
Yeah, that is really wild.
Yeah, unfortunately, at that time, Dad was it was still the early 80s there, and he was still in the infancy of learning how to design gears, build gears. And the gears were just ended up being too small, too many meshes. At that time, Garlitz's friend engineer said it took too much power, and we struggled with the longevity of the gearbox living. My uncle actually made more passes in that car than Garlitz did. We just weren't allowed to run it on nitro. We had to run it on alcohol, and they were just testing the driveline. We did lots of passes, I remember, as a kid at the Norwalk drag strip with that car.
So how did that whole project, I mean, there's no, how did that kind of land, or where is it currently? Does anyone still try to do that, or?
No, most of the rules have outlawed the deal as far as, because the actual motor plates were part of the frame rail. So
yeah, that might be good.
Yeah, at this time it'd probably be pretty frowned upon to do that. Yeah, so nobody's ever tried to do that again as far as that goes.
So SCS, Craig, what does SCS stand for? Permits Roots.
So it does stand for Sage, my father, Callahan, who was a family friend. They actually started in Callahan's garage just north of Bellevue here, and then my uncle Chuck Sage.
So Sage, Callahan Sage.
Yep.
Craig, do you know what my father told me that stood for when I was a kid? I asked him.
That should be good.
He legitimately told me it stood for Sage's Custom Shit.
There we go.
I think we have a new T-shirt on the horizon.
I feel like Bruce may have truly believed that's what it stood for. I don't know.
It's pretty good.
So Craig, you're talking about drag racing and getting involved with building chassis, and I heard you mentioned some stuff about a blower. You guys produce connecting rods. Can you walk us through? I mean, was your dad just venturing into any venue that he could stir up for business? I mean, the SCS had the first billet blower, did they not?
Yes, we did. So the world, I mean, the fun part about SCS and the fact that tractor pulling was such in its infancy, so we've got to grow guys were pulling junkyard motors out and running junkyard motors at tractor pulling. As the horsepower's increased, we've got to increase. So as guys have figured out how to increase their power, they brought problems into their lives, and guys would carry problems in here and go, hey, how do I fix this? Just like with, so originally Dad tried to use the original little transmission gears to build a quick change transfer case. Leon Ashcraft's four-wheel drive pulling truck was the one that he tried to work with, and Leon didn't want to make any mount changes, so it had to fit the 205 at that time they were running as a transfer case. Well, the gears just weren't big enough to get the job done, plus the fact that they were still running 4-speed transmissions. So, and what guys don't realize is when you take one of those rock crusher trannies that has 3.5 to 1 low gear, well, that poor transfer case now thinks it's trying to hang on to 3.5 motors of torque, not just one motor of torque. Right. So that's where the transfer case takes such abuse in a lot of these pro stock, like a pro stock 4-wheel drive trucks and stuff like that, where they're not running a reverser, they're running a legitimate transmission. So all of a sudden the torque of that driveline is rival with a Grand National mod truck because of the fact of how much torque they're able to multiply through the driveline.
So you've entered into the transfer cases for truck pullers. Like you said, you got in the superchargers, producing a billet supercharger, you produce connecting rods, a lot of stuff for monster trucks.
And that's the monster truck world grew from the tractor pulling world that used to be, I mean, monster trucks were the sideshow. That was what you watched after the tractor pull got done. You got to watch Bigfoot go out there and crush cars and stuff. I never got to watch it because Dad always put his hands in front of my eyes because he was worried about getting glass because they didn't bust the windows out back then. So Dad, I'd always have to watch it like this.
That was true America then.
Yeah, absolutely. But so the monster truck you see in the back wall here, I actually got Dad was inducted into the Monster Truck Hall of Fame last year, and that's Deal Wilson's monster truck, and he was the first one to put a full-on drop box of SCS in the first monster truck.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's how we got drug into monster trucks, was from guys that ran. So Deal had his four-wheel drive pulling truck. Well, then the guys with the monster trucks, they're getting paid better. So he decided to build a monster truck. Well, then the guys are like, well, you built my little case. Now I need a big case. And that's how we got drug into the monster truck world. Dan Patrick, still a good customer of ours, that builds almost the vast majority of all the chassis that are built in Circleville, Ohio by Dan Patrick. He was a mod tractor puller back in probably the early 80s as far as that goes. And he had the two-wheel drive when they did the funny car wars and tractor pulling, Dan had one of those. That's how we got drug into the monster truck market as far as that goes. So the blower market came from Dad, like I say, Dad kind of had taken over the Krager drive, so pulleys, shafts, stuff like that. There was, and that was the snout that Krager built at the time that Mooneyham, Littlefield, and stuff used. There was a snap ring. Hate snap rings; they're a pain in the butt. But they had a snap ring groove that was it was cast into the forging, so you couldn't get rid of it. Well, that's where they all broke on fuel cars and everybody like that. So that's when Dad redesigned that shaft to not have the snap ring groove. And I don't know, he said the story goes he hand carried, I don't know how many ever he could, 20 of them out to Pomona one year and just started selling them out of a suitcase.
Really?
But that's so at that time Dad was getting into manufacturing, and Mooneyham and Littlefield and Cool at that time were looking for someone to build a blower rotor for the 1471s, or at that time they were using, because they were still buying GM rotors at that time.
Oh,
so
really?
Dad managed. I've never heard a full story, but Dad managed to be basically from 86, I want to say, 86. Dad built all the 1471 blower straight rotors at that time for Mooneyham, Littlefield, Cool. He built all the billet rotors for him. Then would have been 2 years later, Dad designed the high helix rotor to go in the with the twist. Versus, we also built a herringbone rotor, which actually took the air and screwed it to both ends of the case, because Dad wanted to prove where the air was going, and we did. We slowed the car down 2/10, but we squared all the cylinders up. At that time, we still had the wide open blower cases on the bottom.
Sure.
So it proved that the air was crashing into both gearboxes, or both end plates at that time, with a herringbone rotor. So we actually had that on Tom Akers' Wizard funny car. But that's when we crashed that. That's when Dad got them to close the bottom off and become the Delta Pi that most everybody knows about today. Is that Delta Pi came from that herringbone rotor. And then Dad told Mooneyham, Littlefield, and Cool how to fix the blower. He really didn't want to make his own blower, but the guys at that time were still getting GM gears. Well, the problem was they didn't want to get gears to design a case that would give you the front discharge that we have today. So, and when the Supercharger came out, Dad knew the handwriting was on the wall when the Supercharger came out. If he didn't build the better roots, that we were going to be in trouble. So we then started, it would have been 90, because it was my freshman year in high school. We built the first blower rotors, because it was so everybody in high school that did their science fair projects for high school, that was my science fair project. My freshman year was the 1471 Roots built blower.
What was the feedback on that, Craig?
What's that?
What was the feedback on that? Did everybody know what you were doing?
Hell no. Most of the people that judged me had big eyes and didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So we built
the first spaceship.
Pretty much. But yeah, so we built that first blower rotor. We built our own blower dyno. Actually, we used one of the motors out of the twin for that blower dyno. We put one of the 632s on there and so the blower ran independent of the motor. The motor just ran with, built our own great big blower pulley to go on the rear of the crank. And then we had a load cell that the blower just sat on by itself. There was nothing, you didn't have to worry about the motor doing anything screwy when it came to what air the blower made. And it would measure the torque it was on a swing. So then it would measure how much torque, and that would be how we calculate how much horsepower the blower is making. So when we first built it, Ken Miller, right up the road here, that runs the corn and soybean special, he had a Mooney Hammer or a Littlefield or something. Dad's like, well, bring it down and we'll put on a dyno. We just want to see what baseline we'll work with. That blower dynoed that 632-inch naturally aspirated motor at 1,100 horse.
Wow.
That's how much was going up the crank on his tractor.
Wow.
So from there, then started designing, and we got, I think our blower ended, we were like around 650 up the crank when we got done. I mean, and we did it all with the bottom discharge. We really didn't mess. We tried a couple different things with inlets on top, shrinking it, making it bigger. We actually managed we opened it all the way up and actually managed to constantly keep the you couldn't open the butterflies because it was actually circulating inside the blower. So by having the rear of the rotor open, it was actually letting it discharge back into itself. But no, so that was that we did those blowers. Well, it was such a radical change from what guys had out there, because our blower, you had to take so much fuel away because it was so much more efficient than what everybody had, that some of those out there that don't understand how power works, because you took fuel away, you took horsepower away. Well, it was better air, but at that time, a lot of guys didn't have race packs and stuff like that to understand how much cooler the air was. We worked extensively with Wald Austin on the blower, and Alan Johnson were the two big, of course, they wouldn't tell anybody what they were doing. Shoot, I watched Alan Johnson blow the blower off the top of the intake at 1,000 foot, win the round, pick it off the roll cage, put it back on for the next round, and run it again. And the blower, it didn't miss a beat.
Jeez. So you're talking about like actual horsepower the blower takes to turn, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So you effectively made a blower that, even though it's using less fuel, it's taking 400 to 500 horse less power to turn.
Correct.
So maybe you can clear up a myth then. These modern day superchargers, I've heard people say that they take like 1,000 horse to turn at those RPMs, building that much boost. Is that all nonsense? No,
it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would hope they're not that ridiculous anymore. I mean, like I say, ours were 650, and the work they've done on, at some points, I'm sure there's a few out there that I've seen that strip them so damn tight that when you go to roll them over, you about kill yourself, and they probably do take 1,000 horse the first couple passes.
Right.
But,
so ultimately, you got out of the blowers just because it was fizzled out, or other people taking over, or just because they wanted to centralize the drivetrain?
The Tyler on top and Chase could attest to this. Mr. Personality, that I'll refer to as my father, was he when he talked to somebody, he wanted to give you the best product and the best knowledge that he knew, and he didn't sugarcoat it. So unfortunately, when it comes to blower world, when a guy's blower doesn't work, guess what they do? They call on Monday and tell you what an asshole you are, that you sold them a junk blower and blah, blah, blah. And you have no idea what you're doing. So needless to say, those conversations didn't go real well with my father.
Did he ever get ghosted?
You ever get ghosted? I'm sure he has.
Now we know why he doesn't build engines then too, right?
Absolutely. That would be the same concept. And that was, I mean, so that was the blower world was, yeah, it was what it was. And at that 90, I think he built the last blowers in like 95, I want to say. And that was the boat guys had got a hold of Dad, and the boat guys were kind of dragging him away. And it was one of those things Dad figured out the boat guys wanted to spend way more money than the blower guys did. So
with less headache.
Yeah. And that was
I found it fascinating. You said your dad really didn't want to get into it. He was just trying to show them how this could be done, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely. He loved building the rotors. The rotors were, I mean, as a kid, I boxed up more rotors than I can shake a stick at. It was constant that we had a box assembly built, and we put 4 rotors to a box, and shoot, there was probably 20 of them a week that went out of here.
Wow.
How many rotors do you think SCS made total?
I have no idea. That's a good question, but unfortunately, the record keeping at that time, yeah.
What do you think, Craig? Take a guess at it.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure it's probably. I'm sure it's in the thousands. I mean, I bet it's probably close to 5,000 of the dang things.
That's wild to think
Still
about.
pretty high demand for rotors right now. Just if you wanted to get into something.
Well, and that was the other thing that happened there when the reinterpretation of the OD rule. See, Mooneyham Littlefield Cool always called the OD, which was always in the NHRA rule book, as the case dimension. Well, obviously, the gray area of the deal was somebody decided that OD could be called the rotor dimension. Well, that changed them by, I forget, it was 50 thou or something like that. And that was one of the other handwriting on the wall that Dad didn't want to read. He just didn't want to continue to pursue the deal as far as that goes. Connecting rods were something, it used to be back in the day with connecting rods and Dad knew it from the drag race days. If you could make the first 3 runs and your rods didn't fly out, you had a good set of rods. It was just that initial failures from the material situation the guys were using. So Dad, I'm sure other guys were using at the time, but Dad used 70-75 aircraft quality material, which means that all the material the plate that we got to make the air rods out of was all X-ray. So it was not allowed to have a perfection that was whatever Boeing spec was at that time. It could not have a perfection in that metal or a inclusion in the metal type scenario. So all that material was X-rayed. So we didn't have those failures. We didn't have the first 3 run failures like a lot of the rod manufacturers were having at that time with billet rods. We built some fixturing to do them where we could do 8 at a time, and they never left the fixture. So our rods were consistent, super consistent as far as that goes.
So it's safe to say your dad was a guy, if someone said we have a problem or this can't be done, he said, I want that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still that way to some degree. It's like, how the hell did I get me into this?
Yeah, but people, those qualities are genuinely what has made a sport from an idea to what it is now. Like a bunch of people saying, I'll be damned, I'll make that shit work. I mean, I'm not one of those guys, but there's people, yourself and your families. That's what's pretty fascinating when you explain this to someone that's not involved in it. Well, conceptually, just a bunch of guys said, I'm going to make something work. And then now we have a sport with thousands of fans that follow it. So pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Craig,
so when did you actually take reign of it? And then obviously you've adopted your own things into the thing. So when did you actually take hold of this?
So I graduated in 95. I took 5 years off from him. I didn't have much to do with him whatsoever from 95 through 99 really. And then actually I had got a job. I was a mold maker up in Toledo, and then I went and actually was a machine repair guy at General Motors. So we ended up Dad had to come to Jesus meeting with a guy trying to mug him in Chicago when he was picking up some machines, and all of a sudden he called me up and asked whether or not I was still interested in it. And so we made a deal then. So he was here. He started weaning himself off the place, or teaching me how to do that as much as he could. He wasn't much of a teacher. You had to observe and learn what he did and duplicate it after you observed it.
And if you didn't do it right, you're
Yeah, and if you didn't do it right, you were a dumbass.
I'm pretty familiar with that concept. Let me tell you.
But
I can relate.
Do as I do, not as I say.
Yeah.
well,
I
your
could be that
father
stupid.
Chase always says that my dad and your grandfather are spitting images of each other, according to your dad.
Yeah. Everyone's a dumbass except them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, so I bought him out 07. Then took it over from here, and obviously, well, Chase's dad there gave me the challenge of trying. He didn't want to counter rotate motors, but he just didn't want to have them crank to crank anymore. It took me
Years.
It took me about 5 years to come up with what they have on their tractor today.
For anybody that doesn't know, like for the longest time, when you had 4 engines sitting down low on a chassis, the front engines could turn forward, but the back engines had to turn in reverse so the gears would operate correctly. Craig designed basically a gearbox that has double gears in it, so all 4 engines still can rotate normal rotation. A little bit heavier of a gearbox, but it allows for the weight to be lower on the chassis, maybe to work a little bit better.
And so my dad, obviously, we're very good friends with Craig and his family, and even my dad was good friends with Craig's dad. But when Craig comes in our pit, these gearboxes are relevant. My dad's always asking for his commission on that gearbox, right?
Absolutely. and a beer out too.
Yeah. He's still waiting on it. He has 4 of them in our shop for one tractor, but because he thinks he has a hand in it. But obviously, that was a long time coming, and it's pretty fun to see that. How something like that works for multiple combinations of vehicles.
Craig, what's the biggest pain in the ass project you've ever taken on?
Well, right now it's called Trick Titanium, but
oh yeah,
I would save my questions for that.
Yeah, elaborate on that. Why don't you?
Oh, sure. So we bought the Pro-Bell Bellhousing line. The company that that owned Pro-Bell was Jones Metal, and they're a stamping house, and they had never dealt with an end consumer product. They always just stamped it, sent it to whoever told them to stamp it, and the way that went. So Dave Flory, who was a good friend of ours over the years, and we had built components for the Pro-Bell line, he came to me and goes, "Hey, we got somebody interested in it, Bob. I just wanted to let you know, and I'll keep you informed." Well, my dumbass goes, "Well, if those people decide they're not interested in it anymore, let me know. I might do something with it." So anyway, needless to say, it was about 2 weeks later, maybe 3. He calls up and goes, "Hey, you still interested?" Damn it.
Were you drinking when you made that? Were you drinking when you told him that, Greg?
No, I was not drinking. No.
Not that time.
I honestly, when we went to go make the deal with Jones Metal that time, I took my wife with me. So what's your wife's job to do when you're going to spend money? Get you to not spend the money. I'm like, your job is to get me out of this. She comes out and goes, "Nope, I think we got a pretty good deal here."
What year was that, Craig?
2016. But yeah, so then
you bought Pro-Bell and you got in the Bellhousing world and you carry on to where we were with Trick Titanium.
Yeah. So now, come last year, or in conversation we're having with people, somebody said Trick's up for sale. So I started poking the bear to find out exactly what's going on, to just see what's happening in the world. Well, at that time, come to find out, Noonan had purchased all of what was Trick Titanium. The bell housings, the valves, and other components they had built. So I had just bothered to. So I took a phone call and called down there to Noonan and just talked to. Actually, I think I talked to her husband. I can't remember. Jamie. Yeah, I think I talked to Jamie. Jamie's like, "Oh no, we're good. We're good. We're gonna take this deal." I just offered. I'm like, "Well, I've got a lot of information about transmission stuff like that. If you guys need any help, just let me know." And stuff like that, because it's crazy. But you wouldn't think bell housings are a dumb, simple piece, but they've got a mind of their own. So I don't know if they even had it 6 months. Renee calls me up and goes, "You still interested in this deal? Because this is nuts. This isn't like selling a motor. Like, here's our combination. Here we're selling it. They're like, everybody wants something different. I'm like, yeah, welcome to Bellhousing world. Everybody wants something different, wants this, that, tweak there, here, or there. And so, and then the other thing that we found out with the legacy of Trick Titanium is I think they had a dartboard, and depending on the day, they threw the dart at the dartboard and they made them this way. Then the next day, they threw the dart at the dartboard and they made them that way. And so with the Bellhousing has got a mind of its own now with the tractor pull is now requiring them to have the SFI inspection, and the SFI inspection all goes back to a set of rules that have been laid out since the 80s as far as this, and not updated very well, by the way, but anyway, but that's what the insurance company, so my liability insurance with that SFI sticker, it goes, if something were to fail, like everybody's trying to pass the buck in this day and age as far as lawyer world goes, so they wanted these Bellhousings inspected so they can have our liability insurance as part of a lawsuit that could possibly incur. And that's where unfortunately, a lot of people have not been educated on the fact of what this SFI means for everybody involved. This is the rules that we gave the insurance company and said, this is what we're abiding by. They told us what the insurance premium is, and this is how we're moving forward. And so, yeah. But unfortunately, Trick Titanium, well, and unfortunately for most of I feel, I hate, I mean, you guys told everybody, I mean, I run a tractor too. I'm not, we're here as a business. We're not here to just ring the bell on everybody type scenario. And the fact that we get Bellhousings in here that literally Trick Titanium sold them, were non-compliant when they sold them because the tractor pulling world at that time didn't require SFIs. So there's no anti-rotators, there's and stuff like that they're not legal. So yeah, it's been a more than a mountain to crawl up at this point.
This is a topic very needed in this category and on this podcast. I think we've talked about it a number of times. Some rulings on Bellhousings. I'm not an expert in it, but you shared a little bit there where there's been comments made that why would you do this? Why would you do that? Take us a little bit further more on insurance, SFI, and why decisions are made. And like in your standpoint, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not allowed to have an aluminum Bellhousing after 2026. Is that correct?
As far as I understand from the NTPA ruling that was done at Toma last year, they have stated in NTPA, and that is the only organization, they will not allow an aluminum Bellhousing in any category as of 2027.
So do you agree with that rule?
From a professional standpoint, what does that mean? I don't want you to call anybody out on this podcast, but we like to have fun on this podcast. What's your feedback on that? And why do you think they came to that conclusion?
I don't understand. Unfortunately, I have to say a lot of these things are done without industry insight. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, when it comes to a lot of these tech ruling and stuff like that, there needs to be some more industry insight. But there have been some instances of failures of the aluminum Bellhousings. In my opinion, they've been in more of like vehicles that have ring gears, and ring gear is the nastiest thing on the planet. And that's the whole SFI rules are wrote around originally trying to contain the stock flywheels that guys were running on that at that time were probably cast maybe. And that the stuff that's what they were trying to contain was the flywheel blowups they were having at that time. There wasn't even considerations really. I'm sure there was clutch failures. Now with the advent of most everybody's racing clutches, you've got aluminum flywheel that's made to an SFI spec, and we're seeing more of the finger failures and lack of maintenance on clutches is our failures that we're seeing as of late, more so than I would say flywheel failures anymore. But the aluminum Bellhousings, we had our own aluminum Bellhousing. It was a hybrid. We actually, to pass the SFI specs, we actually had the aluminum, and then we actually had a stainless sheet stamped together. So they stamp them in one chunk, And then we put then there's the stainless liner that goes inside of it. Then that would be the blow liner that's made to spin when a clutch would let go. They're actually more of a pain in the butt to make than anything else we make in this joint because of the fact you're machining two similar materials. You're machining stainless and aluminum. Couldn't be two polar opposites for machining quality and machining cooperation.
For sure. So
Well, and Craig, I didn't really want to ask you. Obviously, you carry a lot of liability in the world you're in. So, in the world of podcasts and live shows, I wasn't trying to put you at the stand. Just wanted to get your general consensus of feedback. My experience in this, and I don't know a damn thing. I'm not as smart as anybody on this podcast, but I have a really good friend and mentor named Chuck Ford, who's done a lot of things. And the first thing he ever told me when he saw my mini rod tractor in his shop, he said, "You're out of your effing mind to run that thing with aluminum bell housing." And I don't and that was like 6-7 years. That was 8 years ago.
Well, and Chuck's probably real similar age of my father, I would guess. And they had aluminum bell housings back in the day. That the junior fuel car that Dad had aluminum bell housing in it at that time. Well, the aluminum bell housings at that time, they were a bomb. Absolutely. If you had a failure, it was coming apart. And unfortunately, that genre, age group, whatever you want to call it, they'll go running for the hills before they'll trust an aluminum bell housing.
Yeah,
makes sense. So I guess where I'm confused is it's like you have to run a bell housing with this SFI spec. The aluminum bell housing has this SFI spec, but they're saying you can't use it while also using the SFI spec as the benchmark of what it needs to be. But even though this one is that, it's no good. Is that a fair interpretation of that, or did I misunderstand?
No, that's exactly how it works.
Okay.
It's their sandbox, and this is
That's
how
all
you're
I
going
needed
to
to know. Yeah.
All right.
Well, and like you said, like I've seen it personally myself. I've seen a couple. I'm not pointing fingers on who these people are or anything, but I've seen instances where, like you said, there's clutch finger failures. Well, I don't think that finger was designed to have 6 weights bolted on the side of it. 3 on each side at particular RPMs that some of these guys turn their engines at. Like, it's not the bell housing's fault in some regard if the guy putting the clutch together has no idea what the hell they're doing.
Right.
My personal opinion.
Yeah. I was told that the reason they're cracking on the bell housing is because I'm supposed to contain whatever they put inside of it.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, that's a whole nother. Let's do another podcast on that freaking stuff.
Well, and we all know that we used to have our clutches inspected and not our bell housings, and now it's vice versa.
Right.
For my personal safety, every year that I run, that clutch comes out, I get new floaters, I get new discs. They grind everything, new fingers, and I want it fully done because I'm sitting on top of that thing and I feel safe knowing that I go through that clutch every year. Other people are, what the problem with it? Just keep running it until you have a problem with it. That's not a very good. I mean, it's like running a set of runs for 200 runs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that thing failed. No, it didn't. There's a lifespan on all parts, whether it's the connecting rods or crankshaft or valves or springs. Same thing with clutch discs and fingers and all that stuff. I get it, whatever. We could have our own show about bell housings, Craig.
I think that we all agree that the intent is not meant wrong. Probably the approach can be questioned. How about that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we had we have to lighten the mood a little bit. Can Backstage pop this 1995 photo up for us?
Yeah. Please caption this. Megan, can you caption this without your dad? Just one or two words. What are we looking at?
Oh, Lord. God, I love Facebook.
Can we caption this, please?
So we had to, like all Spirit Weeks you do for your team, we did a float for Spirit Week, and they didn't want to. we wanted to do a casket to start with, and we're dying to get out of here. And of course, the powers that be in the school shot that down so we couldn't do it. So one of our kids in our class had a farm. So guess what? We had a chicken coop on our float, and we called it "We're Flying the Coop," and that's one of the chickens.
Well, Craig, I like.
We thought maybe that you had got infiltrated by Brian Knox.
Yeah, you're for sure channeling your inner Brian Knox there.
There we go.
Craig, beyond the chicken situation here, I'm looking there to the left for everyone, or maybe it's the right to the viewers. I can't tell on my computer, but there's a guy there in a jumpsuit and a t-shirt. But we see you in some type of bougie sweater outfit. Can you explain what their wardrobe strategy was during the time of your life, Craig? Because the guy beside you can't say everybody was wearing it because the guy beside you looks like
it's probably after school, and he's changed clothes. And Dad sent me to a private high school, and that was you had to wear a collared shirt. And
yeah. So, Craig, I expect to see this sweater out sometime. I think this would be very trendy in the current pulling landscape. Much respect to you on that.
Yeah.
The internet won again.
Sorry, I had to bring that up for a good laugh.
Thanks for sending.
There we go. That's a good one.
Craig, Jeremy Tyndall here is saying ask you about your first time pulling the mod at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds a few years ago.
When you pedal a mod, you can't completely shut the butterflies and let the sled catch up with you, because when you go back on it again, you get slack in the chain and your hitch stays and you keep on trucking.
Oh, you ripped the hitch right out of it?
Oh yeah, I ripped the hitch right out of her.
Oh man.
So walk us through that. So you've been building components for pulling vehicles for all these years. You decided to get into pulling yourself. Kind of walk us through that.
Well, like in the early 80s there, I mean, back when the TNT and then the NTPA went to South Florida down there. I was drugging a dually more than 1 year with Dan Oots and Wheeler and McPherson and those guys. We went South Poland. We went all the way to Homestead, Florida to go tractor pulling. So I grew up around the tractors, the mod tractors. Always had loved the things. Obviously, as a kid, my somewhat formal education was an alcohol dragster. That's how I learned to be more mechanical than I've ever was as a kid. Running that car there, learned how to tear a clutch apart, learned how to take a transmission apart, learned how to rip a rear end down, take a motor down. Of course, the fun part about an alcohol dragster, you do all that every weekend, not just once a week. And that's where we ended up. But it was a childhood thing. I mean, I always wanted to run an alcohol car, honestly. But funny cars, if I ever had a desire to get into something to I don't know, kill myself, I guess, for lack of a but the astronomical cost of that stuff anymore, and the time it takes. I mean, you got to have a full-time crew to run one of those cars anymore. Of course, my mod seems to think it needs a full-time crew most of the time anymore too. But so we had a family friend here, Ed Garner, Garner Motorsports. He had a 4-wheel drive and kind of friended Dad, and then when Dad retired, he friended me, and he was running this 4-wheel drive, and I was just hanging out with him, stuff like that. And so one day he goes, "Well, I want my son to drive, but I want to build another one." I'm like, "Well, that sounds like fun. I'll help you build another one." So I helped him build a supercharged 4-wheel drive. Learned that Craig sucks at driving a 4-wheel drive. I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience, to throttle a vehicle for 6 seconds. I mean, you don't go full throttle on a supercharged 4-wheel drive till well beyond 150 feet. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world, and I only made a few decent passes with the thing. Most of the time, I was the one out there that blow the tires off, and then anyway, it was love to try it again just because I feel like maybe I've got more patient older I get, but I was terrible at it. I was absolutely just could not. I mean, you go from, and I had a drag car for a few years, and you go from one of those deals that it's hard to get the mentality of taking that breath and really calming yourself down to drive a vehicle out with what you got to do in tractor pulling compared to with what you do in drag racing, which is come up there, you put the foot on the floor on the two-step then, and you let her rip. And that's it, the fun part. You hear guys that go to the drag race school and stuff like that, and they go, my brain wasn't there. And so my uncle had a super comp dragster, and I got to drive it. And the first time I let that thing rip, it took off, and I swear I sat at the starting line. The car was down the track. It was the weirdest sensation in the world. So at that point, he didn't have an air shifter at that time. He was still kind of an old school super comper. He still had to shift it. Well, I knew I needed to shift, and I knew it was time, so I lifted, got my hand stuck, and weaved all across the track and just coasted down the rest of the way again. But no, it's the weirdest sensation that how fast your brain in that sport, how fast your brain actually has to function to get it there. It definitely took several passes to get that where, and it's even with the tractor. I mean, the first couple passes with the tractor, you get done, and it's like, okay, yeah, I was on it. and the more passes you make to the tractor, you start to, hey, okay, I see what's going on here. I see, okay, that's doing that, and it's amazing. The more passes I make, the stuff you get to feel, you get to hear and stuff like that. We're going a whopping 30 mile an hour. You wouldn't think it would be that difficult. Drive your car down the street 30 mile an hour. You don't think nothing of it, but
right.
Describe that to someone. It's ridiculously hard to describe because even though we're not going that fast, there's a lot going on. And with the mod, I mean, it's driving with the brakes, and that's I've subscribed to the Eder method. I don't know if that's 100% right, but everybody, Dan Mayer's always after me. He's like, the throttle blades are open so far, but my feet are shoved all the way in the brakes. So I'm using the brakes to drive the front end. And right. And Joe, I watched Joe.
Not a bad guy to learn from, I would say.
I don't know. I watched Joe kick everybody's butt for so many years, and he of course, I haven't got to the Joe method where you go through 3 sets of brake pads in a season like he does, but we're learning.
Well, Craig, as a fellow, I guess, light modified competitor, we're new to the category. There is I really respect you for this, and we're in a sport where if someone doesn't do well, it's more probably common to blame somebody else, myself included. But you are very quick to say, "I just suck." I really respect that because I think that's not very common. Like everyone wants to blame someone else for their blame, but you keep it real, and I think there's something to be said for that.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's the same way we do it in business here. I mean, the worst show of the year for a tractor pull is one of the greatest shows in the year for everybody that loves to go watch it is Louisville. Well, everybody and their brother likes to put new shit in and drive to Louisville. So I'm sitting in the stands normally going, oh my God, this guy, I know what's in this thing. Then I'm just waiting for that zing. And then the conversation I get to have afterwards after you hear the zing.
That wasn't a good idea.
Was that me or was that something else?
Yeah, I can recall when you came out with your newest lightest version of the twin countershaft, and we put it in Bruce's mini rod first, and it just happened to be when we ran it, it was still back when we had the 106 rear axle, which would occasionally break the ring and pinion, and he got about 2/3 of the way down the track and everything went high neutral. and Craig grabs my shoulder and he goes, did I just break that motor? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I was like, something did. You run up to Bruce at the end. Was that the transmission? He kind of shrugs and he's like, I don't know. We'll pull it apart and figure it out. And sure enough, the transmission was in phenomenal, beautiful shape, and it was just the ring and pinion. But I remember the look on your face in that moment. You're like, oh no.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's in, I don't know how to describe it. Everybody that has my stuff, I make a pass with them every run.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm there and okay. we collected your money, and now we're moving on to the next person. I mean, it's I've been at more than one event and working on people's stuff or doing what it needs to take to get them down the track.
Yeah.
And that's what goes back to what I said earlier. Like any hard-headed person can say, I'm building this myself, but at some level, they're going to need a guy like you to come in to help finish the project. So, yeah, like you have stake in a lot of vehicles out there, and that's a compliment to the business and obviously other manufacturers like yourself. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, Craig. Well, before we run out of time here, we like to do a segment that we call the rapid fire segment, which is a couple of questions. We can just peel through them real quick. No need to give any long explanation or anything. What's one home handyman project that there is no chance you're going to do yourself and you're going to call and have it done by someone else?
Believe it or not, I'd say tile, because my wife is really good at it, and you wouldn't hear the end of it if you screwed it up.
Okay. I like that. Outside of tractor pulling, what is the dumbest thing you have ever purchased?
Oh my God, the dumbest thing I've ever purchased. Boy, there's a list of those things, but damn it. Shit, I'm supposed to be fast. I'm not very fast at this. Golly, besides tractor pulling.
What about your daughter's opinion? Should we have her answer?
she
I already named it.
What?
I said I already said it. Mud truck.
Oh, the mud truck? We like the mud truck. So the mud truck is the redneck version of a monster truck. So we use like ag tractor tires on it.
Oh, I've seen pictures of it. It looks like a good time. I believe you've rolled that over before too.
Oh yeah, the worst thing I ever did was go to Dennis Anderson's after I won the freestyle event at the event before. So then I show up in front of Dennis. Dennis is announcing the show, and somehow I drew, for your guys' terms, test puller. Well, I was test freestyle, so I'm number one guy out there. So I decide to hit a ramp backwards. Instead of hitting it on the front side, I hit it on the straight up backside to see how hard I could kick it. Oh, I kicked it all right. Unfortunately, the damn link bar on the right side collapsed when I hit that jump like I did. And needless to say, we went up, and when it came back down, then it landed on the right corner, and over we went.
Yeah, well, when you're in a truck like that,
I really hope the person that got you in that sweater, they were there to get that video too, and we can just do that later in the show.
When you're in front of Dennis Anderson, I feel like you got to send it in that environment. So I feel like that's pretty reasonable.
Dennis gave me a really big trophy for it.
Yeah, there you have it. All right. If you had to choose one of these two guys to take apart your daily driver pickup truck piece by piece down to every component and put it back together so that you could drive it to Florida, who are you going to pick, Brian Diekman or Jeff Hurt?
Oh, that's mean.
That's a tough one.
No. Brian would probably get the job done.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. What subject did you do the worst on in school?
Spanish. Actually, the Spanish teacher told me I was not allowed to speak Spanish after I got done with Spanish 2.
That's reasonable. She should have told you that after Spanish 1. Yeah. All right. What is harder?
For college prep crap.
Also reasonable. What is harder and more challenging, running a business, maintaining a healthy marriage, or raising children?
Oh, the marriage is absolutely.
Yeah. Fair enough. What movie made you cry the most?
A movie that made me cry.
Craig doesn't have a soul.
Doesn't have a soul.
That's you, Chase. Chase, that's you.
I don't even know what the movie was, but my mother told me a story that when I was a kid, it was a damn honey badger, I think, of all damn things, and it was their pet, blah, blah, blah. And part of the movie, the movie is all about this relationship or whatever. And then in the end, they killed the badger. And I was all distraught about that. So whatever movie it happened to be about, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. What is the worst bit of trouble you ever got into before the age of 21?
Probably when we're making each other pass out in the senior break room. So there's a spot in your chest, and you put enough pressure on it, it'll cut the blood circulation off and make you pass out. Needless to say, the principal wasn't too impressed when the majority of the senior class had all been.
So just to pass the time, you're making each other pass out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Best piece of advice for someone trying to run their own business, if you could summarize it in 1 or 2 sentences.
People.
Summarizes it in 1 word. Look at that.
I mean, honest to goodness, get good people, and then appreciate the good people you have.
Very well said.
It's tough. It's tough in this business age these days. That, I mean, we run our guys ragged here. I'll admit. I mean, we're 50 hours a week, and most everybody's willing to put in the hours, but it's tough to get another I mean, we struggled like everybody's struggling right now. I mean, we're a minimum 2 people short right now, trying to bring other people into the fold that understand what we do. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. We deal with everybody's play toys, from tractor pulling to monster trucks to offshore boats to actually one of the biggest races of the year for us will be next week out in King of the Hammers out in Ultra 4.
Oh, yeah.
There'll be 150 competitors out there. I'll have probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 plus transfer cases out there at that event.
Jeez.
So
That's
we've taken that group by storm out there now with our transfer case. In the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. We've been growing that market. Rock bouncers are another big group of ours. We have a big group in the Middle East that we supply transfer cases, transmissions to for those ones you see on YouTube that's got the great big turbo hanging out of the hood that runs up the hill on sand.
Oh, yeah. The guys in white robes.
I thought that
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
was AI.
We've got mostly like the Australian groups that we deal with there. Mostly it's all circle track down there. There's a little bit of tractor pulling left down there, a little bit of monster truck.
Craig's got parts all over the world.
Oh, yeah. The furthest I've ever sent a part right now is Thailand.
Jeez, that's wild.
We
All right,
sent a transfer case to Thailand.
2 more. Do you think some professional sports, such as NFL games, are rigged or scripted at times?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, this last one's a tough
We're
one.
just waiting
Craig.
for Chase to start handing out the scripts for the full pull stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
AI generated.
There we go.
All right, this last one's tough. Who do you think could professionally raise and breed Dalmatians more successfully, Marv Epperson or Greg Randall?
It'd have to be Marv.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
You think he could raise some dogs for sure? Fun fact for those at home, my father used to breed Dalmatians and sell them when I was younger. How about that?
No kidding.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's crazy.
Well done. That's the rapid fire.
Congrats on rapid fire success, Craig. Craig, I had a couple of people reach out to me today on the rumor mill. And is it true you have a second modified being built or is located at another site that could potentially be with more engines? Can you confirm, deny, or ghost that question?
No. I have the dream of building another one. I have the dream of, well, actually, West, my son Weston, he had a suit last year. Unfortunately, our ability to run multiple passes seemed to struggle a bit. So he never got that. I wanted to put him in the seat and have him just go out and blast the thing after class and just get used to the dang thing before we let him loose on it. And he didn't get to run it. So yeah, I have the dream of possibly a two tractor team.
Very
Megan
cool.
still wants a 4-wheel drive over here too. So there might be.
She needs a mini rod. Yeah.
My kid's not big on the mini rods. I'm not sure why.
A wide open, like blank canvas modified. You're just going to wait and see, or is it going to be unlimited? 4-engine mod.
Well, I'm still the old school that Tim Engler all calls us lazy tractor pullers because we don't run multiple classes at a time. So.
You watch this podcast, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Tim,
okay.
I mean, we have a great working relationship with Tim. Most of the driveline components that Tim uses, from couplers and stuff like that, are all supplied by us. Same way with Brad at Modern Machine. We supply most of the driveline components for couplers and stuff like that to Brad. I talk to Engler at least once a week. I talk to Brad almost daily anymore with the workload he has. We've really got a collaborative. I can't say it anyway. Team, yeah, of building these vehicles that Les and Brad are putting out over there at Modern Machine. So it's been a great relationship between us and Engler, and then the guys that build the 4-wheel drives, where you got Steve Barker or Performance Pros building 4-wheel drive chassis. So we work extensively with both those guys, working with the chassis builders to get the guys the components they need.
So you're going to make it a tractor referencing Tim Engler, you lazy pullers. I could run 3 classes maybe. I think that actually badass.
3 classes would be awesome. I really do. I'd love to build one that could run 3. I mean, obviously with my little one we have right now, we tried to run 2 and 3. The 3 side of things, our engine mounting system struggled. We were threw the rods out of the front motor twice because of the way we have stuff mounted. So to run 3, we need to revisit that. Fortunately, the light mod class takes a more dedicated chassis than any other mod class that's out there right now. It's just to build the components light enough to be able to be in that class but still hold up, and to build the stuff that way versus being able to run the heavier classes. The 2 heavy classes, I mean, anybody's fooling themselves right now if they're not one and the same to some degree. I mean, one weighs 8,000, one weighs 7,500, but
it's pretty close.
Yeah,
and the cost to build a new one's pretty well the same. Would you agree with that?
What's that?
If you want to build a brand new 7,500 if you want to build a brand new 7,500 pound mod or a brand new unlimited with 4 engines, it's about basically the same. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's not a component one that you would change between the 2 of them. Absolutely. Yeah, those. Yeah. Now, when it comes to when you're trying to shed whatever we're trying to shed between 7,500 and 6,200, now that's a game changer there when it comes to components. In my tractor, I run a planetary design we actually did when Brian Diekman built the original light mod Allison tractor. He was originally going to put a Mercedes on there, and the Mercedes, they have their own fundamental flaws with with the way they're designed. And then the Franklin, we've used that mag housing for a zillion years and they're readily available. So that's where we designed what's called the Franken-Sadies. So it's a 5-pinion planetary that actually fits inside the Franklin housing, and that's what I actually use on my tractor. We tried it once on I ran it with 3 motors, and so is Feist is running with 3 motors. Originally, I tried it on Doug Lively's, and I had huge design flaw at that time. Huge design flaw. I had designed it, and it actually twisted itself up inside there and made mincemeat out of the gears. But yeah, that was. But that's part of the. Unfortunately, that is the neat part of our world, is the fact, especially with you guys and the relationships we have with most of our customers, that, I mean, we're going to put the best product forward we can, but everybody knows that we're also pushing it to the nth degree. So when we screw up, we all own up and we fix it accordingly.
My dad has always said we are such good friends and customers, and you do whatever we ask because you know how stupid we are and we don't care to look that way. My last question, because I know Adam and Tyler have trademark questions to kind of wrap up with. Craig, the modified class we just talked about, and I think it's awesome if you or anyone could come out and
Now, unfortunately, me and you bring the average age of the modified class down from 65 to a reasonable age.
well, I don't know if you were on the podcast earlier, but the 2-engine modified class, call it light mod or outlaw mods, whatever it is, like.
Now, come on. Now, those can't be in the same sentence. The weights are too different. I don't understand why outlaw mods are being called light.
Let me lead to my question.
Okay.
If you were in charge of modified pulling at the national level, would you keep it as it is? Obviously, unlimiteds are unlimiteds. That class is as badass as ever. What else would you have below the unlimiteds across the board? If it's up to you, and you're a pretty credible source on this.
I mean, yeah, the unlimiteds are wonderful. The problem is our technology right now. They look at unfortunately, I think we only had one good unlimited show last year at Bowling Green. I mean, the rest of the shows,
I don't know. I think
it was pretty disappointing.
I think they were pretty good for my perspective. At first, the only ones that were bad were the two.
Well, your best one was Hutch.
No, the only good ones we had were the two we won.
There you go.
They were the worst shows of the year. The rest of the time, shit, Bowling Green was badass. The Saturday at Toma, I'm not disagreeing. Someone could speak up, but
Toma was terrible for all the classes. Good. That track this year,
where?
Toma was terrible for everybody this year.
The first day, but the second day, hell, I think that was a show, Craig, where their top 8 were within 5 feet. Might be wrong. Please correct me.
I think Craig, are you trying to say, like, it's tough for a true unlimited to put all of their usable power to the ground?
Oh, absolutely. And maybe that was the case there at Toma. It seems like it's few and far between as far as those shows versus the 7,500 being able to put on a good show. As far as that goes, seems like
so unlimited. All right, unlimited is what it is. What else would you have besides unlimited if it was up to you?
I mean, if we had to go down to 2, I love the 6,200 pound. I mean, it's such a challenge to get the dang thing down the track. It wants to come out from underneath. It's a mini ride on steroids to some degree. At least mine likes to come out from underneath of me.
Yeah, you have the back engine sit in your lap.
Well, I do have the back engine aimed the wrong direction, like everybody.
If you had a good gearbox guy, you could probably fix
that. Well, the problem was, if the good gearbox guy built a gearbox to take 4 motors, guess what? I wouldn't run 2 and have 4 on the damn thing, so I had to limit myself somehow.
As Tyler calls it, it's a gateway drug.
Yeah, it's a gateway drug. I'm still waiting for Craig to come out with the modified tractor with 3 engines all the way across the front. I don't know if you recall, Craig, but when they came
out, drawing sitting in my drawing files that your dad was dreaming about putting 3 across the front. Yep.
There you go. So
when it was Craig, true light unlimited. Yep.
Yes, when it was true light unlimited, Bruce was so close. He wanted to come out because he figured the big thing was going to be you needed front end weight, and he was trying to work with Craig to get 3 motors side by side across the front of the tractor, so you'd have all the front end weight you could need, and then you'd just move the motors and gearbox forward and back if you got on a worse track and drop in a different drive shaft and shielding. And I remember Bruce said he told Schreier that it's only going to take a couple of dickheads, like probably him. Bruce said, like probably me. He said to ruin that class, because the way you have the rules written, if somebody truly builds for the class, they're going to put 3 engines on and nobody's going to be able to touch him.
Thank you, Adam Bauer.
Bruce got told he was stupid. Bruce said, screw it. And then, by golly, Adam Bauer put 3 on and essentially ruined that rule set.
Steve rolled him down.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig, I was joking with my statement about the gearbox. With our community and friends, Larry Peterson, it's very quick that Adam Bauer and myself always tell him whenever his truck starts bouncing on a track because he's probably running a tall gear. Adam Bauer always goes to him and said, "Hey, you want me to call Craig to get the right gear in that thing?" I think everyone, nobody's safe in this family of friends, if you want to call it that.
No, absolutely, and that's the fun part. I mean, even me and Larry see each other, and it's joking and screwing around, and absolutely, and
yeah. Adam, it's time for your ultimate segments.
So Craig, you've been obviously going up and down the road for numerous years. Do you have any travel stories that you'd like to pass along? Maybe one that sticks with you, whether it's bad, some tragic happened, or funny, or whatever. You have something that keeps with you from any point in time of traveling.
Oh, so the original drag race rig was my father built it because at that time toter homes were not a thing. So Dad went to Bigfoot out there in Missouri. There got a F1 or no, dump truck chassis, whatever they're, F550, 650, whatever they were at that time. And he built his own box to put on the back of it and bought a travel trailer, gutted the travel trailer, put the guts inside the box, built a trailer for it then. Well, when we went back drag race, when we ran B Econo Dragster, well, that dragster weighs 1,400 pounds. So the trailer, he put some horse trailer axles under the trailer and built the trailer too. So they were matching. So then we build the twin. So we go from 1,400 pounds to, well, yeah, and a four-wheeler. So we go from 1,400 pounds with a four-wheeler to 2,400 pound twin with all the spare stuff you got to drag with an alcohol car, plus a mule that was in the trailer. So needless to say, the axles decided they wanted to leave the chat more often than not. So I remember one time as we're coming into Cumberland Gap, we're coming up there to the tunnel, and we throw a tire off, and I'm back. So Dad's driving with his hazards on slow. I'm back picking up leaf strings as his trailer is shedding leaf springs as we're going down the road. And I'm picking them up and trying to put them in the trailer as I'm walking alongside the road. So, yeah.
There you go. leaf springs relief. There you go. That's the story.
Yeah. Yeah, traveling. Oh, yeah.
You're probably thinking at that point in time, hey, Dad, could you just buy something instead of making something?
Yeah.
I didn't, honestly, at that time, I mean, my God, I was, God, 7th grade, 8th grade. Didn't know any better, honestly. I mean, honestly know a bit better. It was just knew that Dad was pissed off and you had to make him happy. So you were doing what you had to do.
You were not confused.
Ain't that the truth? Craig, I had one more question I wanted to ask you here. I feel like you get into some weird industries and weird parts. Can you tell us something you made for an industry that nobody would even guess you were involved with in any way, shape, or form?
Well, currently we're building snowblower gearboxes.
Really?
Yep. So there's a firm out of Utah that builds snowblowers for the front end loaders for like airports or Alaskan Highway or something along those lines. And they always use the chain or a belt. Well, chains and belts in cold, they have a tendency not to be so cooperative. So we have taken and converted, I don't know what we're up to, 8 to 10 different gearboxes now that we've built for the firm in Utah for their snowblowers.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Craig,
right.
we're coming up.
I got another one for you before Tyler asked his last one. If you're in charge of pulling, what's one thing you're going to do to make our sport better?
Honestly, the number one thing right now, in my opinion, to some degree, because of the fact we want to grow pulling, we want more events, but we need to be talking about. We should be talking about the 2027 season and where we're going in 2027, not 2026, trying to figure out how we're going to get pullers to these events. We need a schedule way sooner than we're getting schedules.
Okay. I like that. Get the schedule out sooner.
Do you think at a national level schedules? Because there's
no reason in the world we should not be signing a contract for multiple years at these national events.
No, just to get clarity. Like an OSTPA, though, to their defense, cannot.
They're stuck with fairground
convention, but the Grand National Circuit should have a schedule out at the latest the fall of the year, right?
At a minimum, absolutely. Yeah. And for your sponsors, for people that have sponsors and stuff like that. I mean, Adam's got his sponsor package here, and hey, he can already be talking to these guys. Hey, we're going to go here in 2027. What do you want me to do for you, or what you want to do? If we want to bring money into this sport. These guys that are setting when they set their budgets in October, we need to have our schedule before they're setting their budget in October.
Yeah, just from an organizing the sports standpoint, how the hell can we not know where we're going the next year?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
That's a great statement, and I concur.
Well, this point in time, like where I'm out, I just did a show in Grapevine, Texas. I got to do one actually the first weekend in March where it's the first week in March, like the first couple of days in March in Nashville. I got to do a show for Tractor Supply. And like you do these shows, like, what's your schedule? I don't have an answer for them. And I look like a jackass.
I'll let you know in a couple weeks.
Right. I'll let you know as soon as they tell
Well,
me.
here's a tentative schedule. It may or may not be right, but you don't have anything.
No,
Right.
there's so much of
I
this
feel
sport
like an idiot.
There's so much this sport does from a middle of road. Like there's a lot of us that are diehards. Like however many people we have watched this podcast tonight, the 10,000 or whatever it is, call it. They are diehard fans. There is hundreds of thousands of middle of road fans that we can convert over, but we lose them whenever we say we don't know what our schedule is, but it's a great sport.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a lot more that we could say beyond that. I concur, and I think that's a very well that may be the best statement I've ever heard on this show on how to make it better.
That's good.
Good one.
All right, Craig, if it's Saturday night at Bowling Green, your last hook in the class, it's always a little bit sweeter when you get to take that win from a certain someone. For Craig Sage, who is that certain someone you want to bump out of that first place spot?
That runs today. Oh, God. I don't know who as far as my heroes for mod class. I mean, to beat Joe Utter or Bill Eschner on Saturday night at Bowling Green. I mean, in the mod class, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it would be any better.
Hell of an answer.
Good answer, Craig. We're at our wrap-up session. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for educating myself and all of our fans on how impactful SCS has been. This is the floor is yours now to obviously you're going to thank your wife and everyone else, but thank whoever you need to thank, and your final little sales pitch on how amazing SCS is for the sport of pulling. So the floor is yours, Craig. Thank your wife.
Hey, oh, absolutely. I mean, honest to goodness, got a shout out to my guys. I mean, obviously they keep this place running. They do their jobs. It's not that I have to be a babysitter. Usually they're like, we're building what now? So I get to have that time to when guys call up and go, hey, I've got this problem, and we get to figure it out. I mean, as far as SCS Gearbox goes, I can't say anything more, but the proof's in the pudding. I mean, I can't say. I have no idea how many championships we've won in truck and tractor pulling, but I guarantee you we by far have won more truck and championships than anybody else out there with components of our vehicles.
I won one with your transmission and that tractor right there this year.
Yeah, you're part of the family now. Go figure.
I am. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a half breed. I got both. I'm trying to make everybody happy.
Yep, you got to keep everybody happy. No problems there. Absolutely. Yep. No. But no, I mean, my daughter, my son, I mean, she's taking the bull by the horns here as far as that goes. I keep telling them, you're my 10-year plan, so then I can just get to go tractor pulling all the time. And you guys deal with this shit.
Awesome.
But Weston, he's a senior in high school this year, and so he's in here as much as he can get out of the high school. He's in here as much as he can, so he's learning. He's getting his education on the tractor, like I did on our alcohol car. I think the tractor will teach him more about this business and the sport the sports that we deal with. Honestly, I mean, like I say, the worst ones we deal with are boats. Boats are actually meaner than tractors. Go figure. But the water is 100% lockable versus dirt. You just can't 100% lock it up. But the boats are crazy. The torque that we deal with in boats versus what we deal with in tractor stuff. But it's been an interesting ride. Every day is an interesting challenge. And we enjoy the challenges. Unfortunately, like everything, we're
high intensity. It's high intensity. Never.
Oh yeah. Every day is high intensity here. I mean, we got that lovely indoor pulling in Louisville here in a couple weeks, and we definitely have a couple projects sitting here that definitely
get done.
It's T minus. We're overdue to some degree, in my opinion. But yeah,
that's why you never answer your phone. I call.
No.
As soon as Louisville's over, you get 2 months to get the rest of it done.
Well, we don't even get 2 months anymore. Chase has got us down there in Florida now.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. We got next month.
ruining the sport. I'm sorry, guys.
We're going to grow pulling. We're going to kill us all at the same time.
It's blame it on AI.
Yeah, there you go.
Craig, are you
anybody want to take bets on what the weather's going to be like for Louisville?
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm about 30 minutes.
I hope they have most of that snow move that they got last week.
I'm about 30 minutes from that place right now. I'm probably closer than anybody is, I would guess. And it looks like fucking Antarctica. So I'm sure it's going to be great in a couple of weeks. Greg, what's your plans for 2026? Obviously, you tease maybe one day another tractor. You're back with the same combination, going to be running the light mods again. What's your?
Yeah, we're signed up for NTPA light mods currently. Kicking OSTPA. We just got their schedule last weekend. Actually,
did you yell at them for bringing it out in January?
Yeah, it's not even official. That's the sad part. But yeah, unfortunately, the mod class got its teeth kicked in this year for some reason. I'm not sure why. Everywhere I won last year, we lost the event, so I'm not sure what happened there.
They're trying to get you up your sponsorship, Craig.
Hell, we already sponsored 2 classes in Ohio State.
Well, I want to make sure we're clear to those fans that are grassroots. Those state-level organizations, I don't think they could ever come out with their schedule earlier than fair conventions.
No, absolutely not.
We were speaking at a national level across the board.
Oh, absolutely. At the national level is where the national level feeds the lower class, the state organization, stuff like that. Because guys go to the national level and see somebody run and go, hey, I'd like to do that too. And then they figure out, I can go pull Ohio State, or I can pull whatever, Hoosier, or down, the different state organizations. I mean, that's what the aftermarket industry does not give tractor pulling enough credit, is how big tractor pulling truly is. If you go from the brush pull level all the way up through, I guarantee we rival drag racing for numbers. And we do not get the due as far as that goes from the aftermarket industry as far as that goes.
This is a huge statement, and we need to probably sign off after this. In Florida, Florida is a motorsports active place. This basically caught from now through the end of March. Tractor pulling is growing a presence in Florida, and we're excited about the Southern Swing. But Dan Mayer was down there last weekend, and he was at World of Outlaws event, U.S. Street Nationals, and he went to the Ocala Tractor Pull, and he said the Ocala Tractor Pull was light years bigger from a fan standpoint and attendance than those other 2 entities, and those other 2 entities have more sponsorship. So maybe we're it's not that broke. We just need to fix it, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the fundamentals are there. The sport was huge at one time.
Yeah.
At one time in the 80s, it was huge. It's not that it needs a bunch of revamping as far as that goes. Now, do we need a pull clock? Yes. Like, some of these guys need to find out, hey, when they tell you to go, you're supposed to get the frick out there, not freaking
breaking news, Craig. We're going another hour.
Be strapping in and putting shit on and doing stuff like that.
Yeah, Craig, who's the worst
meeting at the roll cage about how to aim the tractor and how far to go?
Oh yeah.
This coming late breaking news. Another hour on full times and Bellhousings.
Absolutely, but no, I mean, fortunately, if you want to add one more thing to my bucket or checklist of things that need to change in tractor pulling is, guys, we're putting on a show. Granted, it's a competition. It's not. Chase hasn't handed out what AI says who should win and who had the best odds for the night type scenario. But hey, not yet. We're putting on a fan show.
Yeah. But there's something there. We just got to figure it out. We got to do it together, collectively, and that's why all 3 of us are on this podcast every 2 weeks. And one day we might look back and laugh at ourselves and tell each other how stupid we were. And but
no, yeah. As far as motorsports go in Florida, I mean, motorsports, it's huge. It doesn't get as much credit as probably it should, because, I mean, I send 200 plus transfer cases to Florida a year for tractor truck type stuff. With the mud truck community down there and stuff. I mean, it's the gearheads that are in Florida. It's definitely an untapped market to some degree as far as that goes.
Interesting.
Impressive.
Speaking of Dan Merritt, shout out
Hey,
to Dan
they're-
Merritt, the full
They're
Happy
actually
birthday.
smart down there. They race in the wintertime and they take the summertime off because it's too hot.
Yeah, they do that. Yes, they do. Yeah,
That's
the
why
sun
you're
is
going
pretty
to come
quiet in the summer.
Adam, you're coming to Southern Swing, right? Just for that one reason.
We'll
Good way to
see.
go.
We'll see how many customers allow me to get there in March.
I'm sure
Well,
we can
Craig-
probably find a ride down there.
Craig, thanks for coming on tonight for sure and giving us your time. But not only that, thanks for always supporting the sport as well. I feel like we see SCS banners trackside or as class sponsors and stuff, and it's means a lot to the competitors for sure to see you put that money back into it. A lot of people are always saying, we need sponsors, and I feel like quite often, whether it be the Bellhousing company or SCS Gearbox, stepping up to do that. So props to you there for sure.
Yeah,
No, absolutely. We got to thank our customers.
you walk the walk, Craig. You're a real one. Appreciate you, brother. Never can thank you enough for what you do.
No, and thank you guys. We got to thank our customers. I mean, our loyalty base. It's been fun over the years because obviously we work with the fathers. We work with grandfathers, fathers. Now the kids. I mean, it's a fun deal. I do have to give a shout out to the guys that helped me with my tractor, Hot Shots. Those guys have been on board with me since I built this thing. I don't exactly know why, but they've been great to work with for oils and stuff. And we've been kind of business to business, been pushing their products through with our stuff, with their gear lubes and stuff like that. So
Good
I
stuff.
thank them too.
All right. We're going on a 2-hour, 40-minute show. It's been great. We will be back. There could be a adjustment in schedule. Tyler's traveling to Florida next week. We have Farm Show going on 2 weeks from now. We don't want to conflict with that. So stay tuned. Most likely will be a post-Farm Show recap. But Craig, until then, cheers. Adam, Tyler, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
And Adam, congratulations on fulfilling your last show in your 30s on the No Practice podcast. We can't wait to talk about it. See you all in a couple weeks. Thanks, fans.
See ya.
Thanks.
See ya.
That's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Practice Podcast.
Have a good one. Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode where we guarantee there's